percentage. So you working as employees for generations. And your ancestors, they owe y'all royalty checks. It's like with George Washington Carver down in Tuskegee. He didn't care for money. Some of his most important innovations were not patented by him, but had he patented his most important innovations and left it to Tuskegee, Tuskegee could possibly have more money than God right now. But black folks, did they take it from us or did we give it away? So we gotta be honest with ourselves about that, and then go back there to Sun Ra, check out the Sun Ra 81 interview in Detroit. And like you said, we gave up our sovereignty to be with white people. And black folks are still giving up stuff just to be with white people. And so with that said, let's bring on our guest. Let me do this right quick. Let me do this. Read this disclaimer. You too crazy. I don't put words in my guest's mouth. They don't put words in my mouth. And it's not, endorsed by the We All Be Group Incorporated or We All Be News. Well, here's the disclaimer. The views expressed by hosts and guests on the We All Be TV platform are not the official views, opinions, beliefs, or perspectives of We All Be News or the We All Be Group Incorporated. We All Be News is an organization that thoroughly believes in supplementing the information narrative that is usually supplied by the corporate news entities with those viewpoints and expressions which may be marginalized or ignored for a plethora of reasons. We are about informing the general public on alternative perspectives as it relates to news and information and letting the general public be the ultimate judge in deciding on how to use said information. Informed citizens are responsible citizens. Thank you for your support. And also, this is Black History Month, and it should be every day. But also, I want to give a shout out to the ancestor. His birthday is today. James Reese Europe, the Jazz Lieutenant. This is my first book I wrote and illustrated. It's on the Smithsonian Institute for Jazz Books for Kids and Young Adults. But James Reese Europe was born today, February 22nd, 1880, down in Mobile, Alabama. Y'all do know that the first Mardi Gras in America was held down in Mobile, not in New Orleans. They suffering. They can't have their Mardi Gras this year. They can't have their Bobo sandwich in Mardi Gras and beads. But the first one was held in Mobile, Alabama. There's a Mardi Gras museum down in Mobile. And James Reese Europe is important because he formed the first musician union for black people in the country, the first important one, called the Clef Club Orchestra back in 1905. And they were making the equivalent of millions of dollars every year back in the 1910s. He was the music hero for a young George Gershwin. Yeah, that George Gershwin, Porgy and Bess, Rhapsody in Blue, he was inspired and trained by black men. He used to listen to James Reese Europe play at this nightclub owned by Baron Wilkes. And also, James Reese Europe was the band leader of the Harlem Hellfighters Jazz Band, part of the New York National 15th Regiment, known as the 369th Infantry over there in France, the Harlem Hellfighters. This man brought jazz to Europe. His last name was Europe. He also grew up in D.C., went to M Street High School, which is now known as the Dunbar High School. The great Dunbar High School was known as M Street. He went there back in the day. But what's crazy about James Reese Europe, he was a war hero. He introduced jazz to Europe. He was the first black man to lead troops into battle during World War I. Was a hero. Came back to America. Was killed May 9th, 1919. Was doing a concert up at Mechanics Hall in Boston, Massachusetts. One of his drummers, Herbert Wright, got mad at him, attacked him, lounged at him, stuck him in the neck with a penknife. He bled to death. And he was the first black person in history given a public funeral in New York City. And he's buried with honors in Arlington Cemetery. And what's crazy, the guy who stabbed him, Herbert Wright, he did about 7 or 8 years in prison. Came out, lived in Boston, and ended up being the first music teacher of the great Roy Haynes, one of the greatest drummers who ever lived. His first music teacher was the guy who killed James Reese Europe. And he told me that on his his 90th birthday at the Blue Note. He said, yeah, that was my first teacher, Herbert Wright. The guy who killed the Jazz King, the first Jazz King. But anyway, just want to share that. But let's bring on Dr. Shredder. Thanks, sir.
Man, who you gonna call? Quoon Busters. I'm fine. I'm good, Brother Ron.
Yeah, I'm glad you sound better too. I know you was cover less than getting over that nasty flu, whatever you had.
It wasn't a flu. It's a sinus infection and allergic reaction at the same time, a very strong one. It's just about gone. It flares up just a little, but we're there. So
congratulations on your book, man. I'm very excited to read your book. What's the progress on it coming out?
Well, we're trying to make certain that the foreword that's supposed to be done by Roger Stone gets completed in the next couple of days. So I've got to get on that right after this show.
That's excellent, man. I'm looking forward to this. I can't believe this is your first book, your first official book.
I have other stuff. I just, things happen. Publishing is anything can happen. Anything. Speaking of books, this is what I was talking about. That's why I was late. You've seen
it about? Tell us about it.
Supreme Glamour is a book, the last book that the late Mary Wilson did. And it shows all the dresses and the history of the Supremes as a group. And I'm very enamored of it because, by the way, this book is kept on my headboards.
Oh, wow. But she died on your birthday, right? Mary
yeah,
Wilson
she did. She did. She
so
did.
That really hurt me, right?
That did. And Florence Ballard died today, 45 years ago.
Oh, wow.
And Florence Ballard doesn't have a tombstone, Brother Ron. And it's still 45 years later, no tombstone for Florence Ballard. So
I don't know what to say about that because you told me some things about Diana Ross helping her behind the scenes and whatnot.
Yeah, well, I'm not. You didn't hear me say anything bad about Diana Ross.
No, I ain't saying.
Yeah, so a lot of people do, but Mary Wilson was her closest friend. She's made millions of dollars. So if you saved up over the years, even if you paid a lot of bills, you might have been able to get that done. It could be the way that the family is so deprived that buying a gravestone, if you gave them money to do it, they might spend it on a light bill or, a water bill because they're in survival mode. They didn't get paid. And this often happens in these Black families where you get a notable person and, things don't go exactly right or people get dispossessed. So what I would say, Brother Ron, is that I'm going to see if I can get some people to do something, even if it's small or token. I'm going to reach out to a friend of mine and see if there's a way to get someone to fund that. It's doable. It's highly doable.
But my thing is this, can Barry Gordy or somebody just write a check and be done with it?
Well, let's quickly talk about what could be done. Mm-hmm. And I'm glad you asked. Barry Gordy gave, I think, $10 million or $3 to $10 million to the Rhythm and Blues Foundation to help the Motown acts. So he's given. Mm-hmm. But that money went to the Rhythm and Blues Foundation, which is run by Gamble and Huff. Okay. When I was living in Jackson, Tennessee, if Denise LaSalle needed some cash, because I actually know what it's like to help put in a request, before Gamble and Huff got the Rhythm and Blues Foundation control, they might send you a check. Let me say, hey, here's $2,000. Here's something, right? The word on the street is that Gamble and Huff hoard the resources at the Rhythm and Blues Foundation and that they don't spread the money around. And there's another rumor that Gamble and Huff, who are both Muslims, are extremely sectarian. And this is something I've talked in your show. There are a lot of jackass Negroes that become Muslims, and they become Muslim first and Black last. and they'll give to someone from Egypt or Pakistan or Indonesia before they will a Black American that is a Christian or non-Muslim. And this is one of the ugly trends going on across Black America, that there are a lot of Black people, if they're Muslim, they don't really consider you connected to them until they have a problem. I'm not saying all, but there's a game being played. They're playing the same game that the Boule, the Greeks, and the Miss Leadership class. So I'm Black when I have to be, but when there are resources and all, it depends. So this is the word up in Philly, that Gambling Huff, I mean, they're doing all this stuff in the community, but you got to be a Muslim to get it. Now, Dr. King didn't do the Poor People's Campaign just for people that were Christian, even though he's a Christian minister, right? Not even Malcolm X, the OAAU. But there's some sectarian Islamic extremists in our community, and what they want to do is make all of us Muslim. I don't want to be a Muslim. I've never been a Muslim. I have Muslims in my family. I guess if that's what floats their boat, fine. I'm not going to be one. And it's disgusting for people to get something that's set aside for Black people, and then they allocate it based on sectarian lines. Trust me, if two tongue-speaking Pentecostal folks were running something and they didn't share with Buddhists or whatever, everybody would hear about it. And Black folks have to start holding Black folks that call themselves Muslims accountable. Just like, although we don't do it with Christians, we don't do it with anybody. But it's a great danger, because when somebody's aligned with Mecca or Mosul or some other place and not with you, how is that different from Kamala Harris masquerading as a Black vice president? So a lot of Black artists and people are suffering right now. It's like you were talking about earlier in your show, it's self-imposed. They're Black people that could do better who won't, or they're giving it away, or they're robbing. So the Rhythm and Blues Foundation could do a whole lot, and Gambling Huff aren't broke. They got all those songs. They're not poor. So, WTF Gambling Huff, WTF Black Muslims. I mean, if that rumor about what's going on with the Rhythm and Blues Foundation is what we get from Black people converting to Islam, we need to stop. And Malcolm X was wrong. I mean, because this ain't freeing or liberating or helping us. It seems to be another layer of problems. I said it just like that.
Okay, fine. It was Malcolm's anniversary of his death, his assassination
yesterday.
But Philly, I got to ask you about Philadelphia and the Black cultural mentality in Philly, because you think about Malcolm had an issue with Temple number 12 or Mosque 12 in Philly. They were the home of the Black Mafia family. Mm-hmm. And it's up about Philly, man. They make some gangster guys that's very fervent religiously, I guess. But you're selling dope and you're murdering people. Yeah, but what is it about Philly though that produce those type of characters? I like Philly guys. I think they got a lot of swagger. But I'm saying, what is it about?
I don't live in Philadelphia. I go through Philadelphia rarely. Black folks in Philadelphia have been under pressure. So you've got people who, they got game. They're like New Yorkers. Philadelphia is like a cross between Baltimore and New York. Yet it's distinct. Okay. And Baltimore, they got game. And there's some great Baltimoreans, and they got Baltimore. Detroit, they got game. You got some great ones. But I will say this, brother. That Mosque number 12 massacred friends of my family, and they nearly massacred. If my aunt and uncle and cousins had gone a little earlier, a significant part of my family would have been murdered by those people. Butchered. The Hanafi Muslims said some stuff about Elijah Muhammad. These people came down and chopped up this man's wives and children, killed about 7 people, and left them dismembered bodies in a bathtub.
In a home that Kareem Abdul-Jabbar
owns on 16th Street. Yes.
And the dude close to Malcolm, the guy that was leader of that sect, whatever, he was close to Malcolm.
Right. Hilvin Finch.
He was the spokesperson for the Nation of Islam at one point.
Okay, yeah. So they and my aunt and uncle were in that sect, or at least close to them, and they they were supposed to go there and didn't go, or were late or something. And I recall seeing my aunt and uncle hiding, fleeing to my aunt's house in Southeast DC, hiding. So I remember the massacre very well, and my whole family was afraid. Maybe they may follow them and kill us too. I was wondering, are they going to kill us too?
But they killed that black politician up in Atlantic City, right? Major Cox or something like that.
They
did.
I'm saying,
what's up with those cats, man? They were black.
Well, no, my question is, how come people like Mark Furman and George Zimmerman never get hit by those people?
Yeah,
so, I don't respect a lot of these so-called aggressive black. They've never busted a grape to protect black life. They can only murder. So to me, when they talk about Alibaba and the 40 thieves, there's something to that. And the other question is, you'll never see some of these people who are so militant with their great new religious introductions. You'll never see them take a stand against white racism. Not really. They hold back. If you're really honest, the people that really want to take a stand against racism and these groups are marginalized or held down. I mean, that's the legacy of Malcolm X being killed. Is that Malcolm and others who really wanted to stand up were outcast because, frankly, a lot of folks are crescent coons. You got Christian coons, you got nigger preacher coons, you got Islamic coons. And it's just another level. And see, we for a long time, Islam equals liberation. If it's Muslim, it's good. No, not necessarily. No, it's not. It's not necessarily good in Libya right now. I want to remind you that story I told you of the man who's at the mosque that belongs to Imam Jamil Al-Amin, a.k.a. H. Rap Brown.
Mm-hmm.
And the man had a red, black, and green pendant on his outfit. And I looked at that, and he responded to me and said, I never liked red, black, and green until Libya. So with the black people being enslaved and killed by these folks who killed Gaddafi, now that's why he likes red, black, and green. That's an Islamic leader down in Atlanta. Now you tell me, does that sound like black, and which means you're on the side of the folks that killed the folks in Tawerga and the slick. So people need to, yes, every time you meet a Muslim, ask them how do they feel about black people and their stance. Or are you a Muslim first? Are you with the Arabs and the Pakistanis and the Egyptians? Do you have a segregated mosque? Do they let you do the prayer, but they take all the money? Okay. Do your friends that you go to the masjid with run stores that sell illegal cigarettes and narcotics in black communities and $10 a gallon milk to us? Your friends, your brothers, are you with them or are you with us? Don't be surprised at the answer. Okay, don't be surprised. So we do too have Islamic coons. We have a bunch of them, and they're all kinds.
You know what's interesting you said about Malcolm? I love, Malcolm. He tried to go to guerrilla warfare with the LAPD over how he did Ronald Stokes in the mosque out there.
And he was told not to.
He tied his hands.
Yeah.
He wanted to do guerrilla warfare. They tied his hands.
Well, the point is they tied everybody's hands. These things are money-making entities. So are the Moors. When that girl got shot down outside of Baltimore, right? Corinne Gaines.
Yeah.
She's a member of the Moors.
I didn't know that.
She
got a lot of money though. They got a huge element, right?
Maybe, but the point is they didn't fight for them. Where were the Moors? So you mean you want my money and I got to wear the little circus monkey grinder hat, and I've got to do all this stuff. And by the way, I had someone investigate that. You have to deny being black to be a Moor. Oh, yes, you do. There's a whole bunch of coonery, self-hatred in it. There's a whole bunch of crookery in a lot of these groups. A lot of them are shady. A lot of them. I mean, God, you're better off in the church. Better food, more music, finer women, more freedom, less BS. And that's saying something for me as a person who's a dissident Christian. These other things, that's even worse. To go from the frying pan into the fire, into the damn burner on the stove.
Well, Dr. Short, can religion go hand in hand with liberation and revolution, though?
Really? Says who?
Hand in hand. Can it be compatible?
It depends on. It's supposed to be. Okay, let me just say this. If New Testament faith wasn't liberational, there would have been no need for the people to make a deal that black folks couldn't have Bibles, couldn't read Bibles, and that their conversion didn't entitle them to anything. Meaning that the white folks had to make a deal that if someone became a Christian, they remained a slave, because under English custom, Christians couldn't enslave Christians. So what we have in America that white people and others practice, they practice in South Africa and other places, is a fake Christianity.
Yes, sir.
A fake Christianity that says racism and hatred and slavery is compatible with the faith. It's a lie. So, my friend, the vast majority of people that you meet that claim to be in one religion or the other, they're going to burn in hell, because you can't hate people. It's right there in the scriptures. How can you love God who you've not seen and hate your brother? You know, so if you look at the lives, in fact, I encourage anybody to look at the life of William Lloyd Garrison, a white abolitionist, Elijah Lovejoy. There were white folks that understood, if you really follow what's in the book, you have to fight for the black people, even if it means you die. That is what your faith, I mean, I see Muslims, they'll die for certain things. What has happened with this fake Christianity, and black people have their own little fake Christianity, which is a Cadillac and Coochie prosperity Christianity. So that people don't want to give up anything. They don't want to sacrifice anything. If people were willing to sacrifice and do things, life would be dramatically different in our community. So it isn't that it doesn't work. It isn't that it doesn't liberate. It's because it's not being done. That's like wishing that your behind was wiped after you took a big bowel movement. Okay, so it's not going to happen. So, you know, and people hide behind the second coming of God or the mothership or some mystical thing, or all white folks are going to get halitosis, kiss each other, die. Something stupid. Instead of doing practical things, you're down in Tennessee, not far from Mississippi. Where you live is near the 2nd Congressional District of Mississippi, where that big pinata, morbidly obese liar, fraud, Benny Thompson, is a congressman. Yes, I said it. And a third of the people there are food insecure. I've been to the stores down in Jackson and Memphis, and the stores owned by Arabs, Yemenis, and other people, and the stores are full of potato chips and sodas and bad food, which is why everyone has diabetes. And the thing that gets me, and the thing I miss about not being in Tennessee, and I can't wait to start here, is that these people have land, they could grow their own food, but they've been so bamboozled. I'm talking about black folks, and they're so trifling that there are people at the farm that won't farm it. I mean, have a few chickens, you can do it. And they go and buy eggs from Arabs when they could have their own chickens, their own guinea fowl. They could just do this, right? I mean, people, they buy a Cadillac, but you don't have a toilet in your house. And they're all religious. And it says something about the crooked ass preachers who prey off the people, who collect money generation after generation, and people just as broke and miserable and illiterate, and they're morbidly obese, and everybody's dying. And when you die, the preachers get to do the funeral, so they get paid off that. That's why they don't talk about obesity in church. Man, don't leave them alone. Man, I'm gonna do their funeral, right? This is what you've got. This is what we have.
You know what? You say that, and I'm thinking about, I'm reading here about Bishop T.D. Jakes telling our people to go do that shot thing, and I think about
He said that.
I don't know. You know what? I can't say DD. I'm looking at it.
But I want to say this to you. You know, Reverend Calvin, or should I say Calvin Butts in New York is getting money to push the shots.
Okay.
I don't know if you're aware, but nigger preachers across this country, even that little bald-headed, deviant one, that's the senator from Georgia, Warnock, whatever the hell his name is. He's no damn good. I said it. He's pushing it in Atlanta. Did you know they're calling preachers all over the country? All over the country, and they're offering them a minimum of like $30,000, $40,000 to promote Black people getting these genocide shots. And many are getting offered more. See how crooked these people are?
Well, what I want to say was that, Black History Month is this month, and they talk about what's his name, Dr. Carter G. Woodson being the father of Black History Month, Negro History Week. But this is how far we have fallen off the path. Nobody talks about George Washington Williams, a guy who was a Civil War veteran. At the age of 14, he fought in the Civil War. A Black man or Black child fought in the Civil War for liberation. Was the first Black historian this country produced. I mean, he told our story. Was the first. He's the father of Black historians. But he was a minister who met with King Leopold II. And met with King Leopold. He thought the Congo was the promised land for Black people.
But he wasn't the only person. Hold it. Let me just explain to you part of what that is. And I like George Washington Williams. And King Leopold ultimately helped bring about his early demise.
Well, let me finish this point, though. I want to get to the point that people got to understand. I want people, when I drop these names, I want them to research this. He confronted, he met with Leopold. He actually met with the king of the Belgium king, whatever. But he went to the Congo himself and found out what they were actually doing to Black people in the Congo. And he led a one-man crusade to talk about that and cost him his life. He got sick talking about it, going to Africa and telling the world about it. He died in 1891 at the age of 41. He's buried in England. So
right.
This is the guy that the Tarzan movie that made a lot of money about.
Right.
Samuel Jackson played him in that movie, but people thought that was a fictional character. He was a real life human being, and his life story is better than any damn movie from Hollywood. So,
well, you know that my book is based on William Shepard, who was in the Congo right after George Washington Williams, okay. and he more successfully exposed what King Leopold was about. How about that?
Maybe so, but George Washington Williams was a pioneer. He was doing it by himself in the wilderness.
This guy was in the wilderness too, by himself. I'm saying, I'm not taking away. One went just before the other. They're just a couple of years apart, but I think this guy went to Congo in 1888.
Okay.
I think he was there in 86 or 85. So he had him by a little bit. It's like that sometimes.
But he didn't live there. What I'm saying is, like, George Washington Williams died in 1891 at 41 years old. I mean,
yes.
It cost him his life going back to Africa, and getting sick and exposed, but he wanted to expose the truth to the world. But the world didn't start doing anything to King Leopold until he had to give up. That was his private land. That was his land until 1908.
1908, because in 1889, Shepard was able to get out a report of folks eating people and barbecuing hands and so forth.
Right.
And that went George Washington Williams didn't have the kind of evidence to get out, or the network that was in the hands of Shepard working with Edmund Dean Morrell. But like George Washington Williams, I have his books.
And he was a minister. The point is, he was a Black minister with a conscience.
Right. Well,
he was a minister.
They're very few, because most people go into religion as a hustle or a side job instead of service of the people. This is a major problem. The reason that things are screwed up in the Black community is because the Black church is screwed up. which segues to, by the way, Brother Ron, I'm going to ask you on air. I want to do a children's book on William Shepard. Would you be the illustrator if I could get you paid?
I'm open to receiving that.
Okay.
You got to educate me on William Shepard. I got to do some.
Well, I mean, I think you ordered my book. Did you not?
Yeah, I ordered your book.
It's about his life, but it's about slavery. It's about racism. It's about religion.
It's based on him. You telling his story. Then.
Yes.
Like, okay.
Yes.
I'm looking forward to it.
Yes,
man.
it's a good read, and now proof of what I'm saying to you about these. In fact, hold on, I got to do my tribute to Florence and Mary. Let me just do a stanza. I hear a symphony to Mary and people who need people. Those are their songs, right? Okay. Or you're just too good to be true. That's what Mary would sing. All right. Look, there's something going on right now. And I talked about it in my live earlier, but I want to do it for your audience as well. You know that the Congressional Black Circus and that big Bozo the Clown, how do you describe him? You know how you see the clown, remember Tears of a Clown, just like Iachi did. He tried to keep his sadness hid. Okay, Benny Thompson is the Iachi of the Congressional Black Caucus. His big, bloated, fat ass, he's probably eating all his catfish, which is why he's not raising enough money when he's doing his fundraisers. Benny Thompson is leading the charge with the Congressional Black Caucus or Circus or Congressional Black Caucasians, whatever you want to call them. They're not helping us. And the National Association for Quoon People are after Donald Trump using the Ku Klux Klan Act of 1870, 1871. They're going to try to shut down Trump. Now, on one level, that's their business on one level. But on another level, it's not their damn business because they're masquerading as if this is what Black people want. Black people want reparations. I want a damn check. I don't want a discussion. If you pick up a hooker, you want some pussy. You don't want her to tell you how nice your eyes look. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. This is what these coons are doing. So we're not getting nothing. They are looking at giving 22 million illegal people in this country citizenship at our expense. They support that. Yet they're not working to make certain that 1 million Black men in Florida can't vote. 500,000 Black men in Virginia can't vote. In our own country, we don't have basic things, but they will fight for people who have stolen almost 40 million Social Security numbers, defrauded this country. They're going to get a path to citizenship, and they're supporting our path to genocide. This National Asshole Association of Coon People, the National Asshole Network, all of them, they support one, no guns. So they're against the Second Amendment. They go around gun buybacks. Y'all need to give up your guns. They need to give up your guns. Y'all need to give up your right. But yet you wage an attack on a white gentleman who is loved by violent paramilitary white people with guns. Do you see how stupid these people are? How disgusting. You know, I wouldn't spit on someone, but I'd hope a bird would crap on them. You know, these people in the NAACP are dogs, are bastards. The lowest, filthiest traitor niggas that ever sold somebody in the castles in Africa. Okay? Let me just say this, that the NAACP and the CBC, they're all these people, no guns, no guns. So you attack Donald Trump. The country's racially polarized. What do you think will happen if they bothered Trump to the ordinary Black person where you are, outside Brownsville or Milan, Tennessee? What's going to happen to ordinary Black folks who are going to get killed and murdered and run over and dragged like Mr. Bird in Jasper, Texas? Because people perceive, because of people like Stacey Stacy Steakums or Stacy Adam, that big fat butch. I mean, and why does she have a Jerry curl? I didn't even know they made the kits anymore. Right? Stacey Abrams, all these people that either sexually deviant or they spend all their time bothering white people and they don't do anything for us. Nothing for us. Look, do I think Donald Trump's a crook? All white America crooks. They ripped off the Indians. I'm one of them. What's new? So what? What's your point? NAACP, fat ass, chunky monkey, Benny Thompson? What the fuck? Look, I'm going to go further. So when black people get attacked by Adam Waffen and they get attacked by law enforcement, the same National Asshole Association of Quoon People, the National Asshole Network, the Congressional Black Circus, they all sat back when Obama refused to do something to clean up the racial infiltration of the law enforcement and the judiciary across this country. Barack Obama, Joe Biden, and all of them ignored their own Department of Homeland Security telling them that these people are going to murder black people. A white man said, don't let this happen. A bigot white man cares more than our entire black misleadership class. Let me go further to say to you, the new Secretary of the Army, who looks kind of sweet, they're now talking about these white nationalist terrorist groups using the Army for training to do mass casualty events. This is going on right now.
Tim McVeigh, right?
Yeah, but no, it's a whole damn army. Come on. What happened in Memphis, the Memphis riot, right? What happened when they were shooting people when Dr. King was killed? What happened at Jackson State? The Army at Kent State, they've always shot and killed people, especially if it's us. The ones pointing the guns at the unarmed people in Ferguson. The Army is an upgrade of the militia. The militias were created for who? Us. It's just the progression. Right? Now, so the Army is now infiltrated. They say so with folks who want to kill us. Why would those dumb fucks, stupid ass Benny Thompson, you're sorry. I'm going to do everything I can to harm you. You need to, lose some weight and just take all the little lobbyist cash since you've ignored your constituents and live a good life. In fact, get fatter, okay? Maybe you can make it to the Oprah level. Anyway, look.
But why do you invest in all those hanging of black people in there? I mean, I know several.
Ho. That's my point. That's the article, brother. Let me ask you on air. I'm putting together an article for Curtis Quoon. If you've got any dirt on the NAACP, Benny Thompson, lynching, anything bad on the Mississippi Delta, send that to me via email because I'm putting together an article. It may be 4,000 or 5,000 words long because I'm going to talk about the insanity because you know about Andre Jones being lynched in the 90s. Down and his mother was.
It's several.
No. But let's deal with this one.
Okay.
Andre Jones's mother was head of the state NAACP.
Oh.
His father was head of the Nation of Islam in Mississippi. He got lynched in the 90s in Mississippi. The Nation of Islam didn't help. The NAACP didn't help. Why didn't they use this Ku Klux Klan Act for Andre Jones? Punk ass, Derek Johnson? He's from wherever, the one that's, we're talking about, Derek Johnson. The NAACP, y'all couldn't help my cousin Freddie Gray. They killed that boy. They murdered him. Everybody knows this. The NAACP didn't help Harry and Harrietta Moore, right? They didn't help Medgar Evers. They didn't help Robert Williams. They haven't ever tried to do anything. Martin Luther King was an NAACP member. Why didn't they look and see who shot his ass? Why? Who the hell are these monsters? Why do we give them money? And by the way, I've been looking at the books of the NAACP. Guess what? They claim to have 500,000 members. Do you believe that?
No,
Yeah.
not today.
As much as I believe I've got 6 balls, okay? Okay, I don't believe it. Y'all lying. Y'all don't have that many. Let me tell you something. I was looking at the NAACP's books. They're up online. You can look at the shit. When you mean to tell me the NAACP from its membership and all this stuff gets less than $2 million, do you realize if I take that 500,000 and divide that into $2 million, that's $4 a piece if that's membership. Isn't the NAACP membership about $20, $30, $40? Yeah. You get my point? It's not 500,000. Y'all niggas are lying. Quoons lie. Sell out Quoons lie. They're all liars. They're all frauds. I don't respect none of you.
It was interesting about NAACP. Now, Derek Johnson was the president of the state of Mississippi NAACP for a long time. I met Derek Johnson before. He was like a decent guy. He's the head of the NAACP now. But when Charles Evans died,
getting head.
Okay, but when Charles Evans died, his brother Medgar Evers served in NAACP, took his brother's place back in '63. Did a lot of things for Black people. They did not release an official press release.
You know why? Because he's for real. You know what? Let me tell you something. Did Charles ever support LGBTQ?
No, hell no.
That's why. No. So my point is, if you're not, you can't get no. That's how it is here. You got. That's how you get love. That's how you get love in. That's how. You didn't see. I mean, that's. I mean, Warnock is like that. And he got big. I mean, his eyes probably buck out like when he's getting hit from the back.
You know what? If the Dr. Show, I finally saw the Good Trouble documentary on John Lewis. I mean, he's like he's a good guy, he's a nice guy, but he didn't do nothing for Black folks the last 50 years.
He didn't.
He didn't really do anything for us. I mean, wow, okay.
And that's why I make fun of him. John Lewis from Atlanta, Georgia.
And he was ruthless though. That like he was nice. How he did Julian Bond, I couldn't see how Julian sat next to him doing those interviews.
Well, you have to understand that they were both queens, and John Lewis didn't put that out there. But you know, John Lewis said, "I'm dark and ugly. You like skin and pretty. You like men's too. You like men's too, Julian." So.
Oh my God.
Let me just. No, I'm gonna just.
Okay.
Look, I as a person on a certain level, I like John Lewis. I didn't tell you my story on John Lewis.
You can say it again. You can tell it for. I mean,
okay. Well, no, this is fun. This is fun. You know, I used to be vice president of a not-for-profit group run by a friend of mine who lives in Oakland, called the Educational Opportunities for Youth, and we were trying to get some support. And because my friend, who I've been friends to for a long time, he's related to the Partials who have the restaurant in Atlanta. Mm-hmm. When we were thinking of going to Capitol Hill to meet some people, I said, let's go to John Lewis. You got pull in Atlanta. You got family there. So we went, and I went with several friends. Two of my friends were my friend Eric, they're professional models. They're all about 6'2", in shape, nice. You know, I think I look okay too. I still look okay. But so 4 of us went up there. When we got to John Lewis's office, the aide that was at the desk asked that we have an appointment. We said no. That guy says, well, I'll go and see if he can see y'all. He ran into John Lewis's office. Man, it was like you seen the Beverly Hillbillies where steam comes under the door when Granny's mad. John Lewis is out of his office within a minute. Ooh, you guys must be ministers. Where are y'all pastoring? And then he started looking at my friend Eric, and he looked at this guy. Eric's nice looking man. He looked at from his hairline and his eyes, and then looked straight at the man's crotch. Says, y'all can come here anytime. And my friend says, well, we're just passing. And he says, would y'all like some peanuts? And my friend Eric, he's looking straight at Eric's groin area. Would y'all like some peanuts? And my friend Eric said, no. And I said, if they're in a bag, yes. And my friend Eric says, Randy, you don't need any peanuts. He says, yeah, man. No, you don't need any. And then he says, would you like a Coca-Cola? And I have Coca-Cola, because all the Georgia delegation has Coca-Cola and peanuts in all of their offices, right? They just do. If you come to Capitol Hill, you'll get peanuts and Coca-Cola.
Okay.
And so I said, yeah, I'd like a Coke. And Eric says, Randy, where was that Coke? Do you know where that Coke has been? I says, yes, it was in the refrigerator. Then he says, give it back. Coke is bad for you. He says, and he said to Eric, oh, would you like a Coca-Cola? Eric says, no, I drink water. And all the while it says, well, can we stay longer and talk? And John Lewis is talking, well, you're welcome. Y'all can come anytime to my office, my open door. There's an open door, right? And he's saying this. And my friend, who's mad because John Lewis keeps looking at him, says, Congressman Lewis, thank you for the courtesy of letting us visit your office. But he said, unfortunately, our colleague, Mr. Short here, he didn't come in business attire. We don't think it's proper respect for your office for us to be here, but we'll come back. And so he says, well, you can come back to my office. You can make an appointment anytime. And my friend says, you get your ass out of here. And your pants are kind of tight. And so we were walking, and my friend Eric says, damn it, he's staring at our asses. And Randy, take the peanuts back. No. Don't you? We might lose you. I don't want to miss. And I didn't go to John Lewis's office for years. But my friend, he was going off. How could you do that? Man, I don't want to screw him for your Coke and your peanuts. And this is a conversation. And they were staring at us as we left. That was the first time I met John Lewis.
Wow. That was an introduction.
And I have a witness. I didn't lie on John Lewis. Okay. Or I didn't lie. I'll tell you one more story about John Lewis. I used to work as a caterer or a butler or whatever at the Kennedy Center. I saw John Lewis up in the in their banquet area. When I saw him and spoke to John Lewis, his wife got so angry because John Lewis, when I said, Congressman Lewis, hi, his wife got so angry. She got so angry, and it's another man whose drawers I had to pull out of my pillow at night. And it says, well, if you know anybody that's looking for a job, that they can come by my office. And so I'm just telling you, I'm not lying. And they're covering up for John Lewis. And this is why when they were driving the hearse, they stopped and parked on top of the gay crosswalk, the gay colors. Remember that? John Lewis is one of the greatest champions for LGBTQ in history. I'll go further to say, remember Bruce Dixon of Black Agenda Report?
Yeah.
My very last conversation with Bruce Dixon is very similar to almost my last conversation with Reverend C.T. Vivian. I think, they both lived in Atlanta, and my last conversation with C.T. Vivian was the same as my last conversation with Bruce Dixon. I called them angry about something John Lewis had done. In the case of Reverend Vivian, I was telling him about this same bill that they're going to vote on this week, this Gay Equality Act, and how John Lewis. He says, "I can't believe John would do this. John he's going too far already. I've got to call John. Send me something. Randy, send me. I'm going to call John. I've got this can't be right." This is the last conversation I had with C.T. Vivian.
He sounds just like that.
Oh, I know he sounds just like that. I love my friend. Because he had dementia. I never called Reverend. I didn't want him. I respect people. It was an honor, a privilege to talk to him. His family still let me talk to, so I would never do that. Right. But look, I called Bruce Dixon, angry about the same deal. Like, damn, John Lewis, why is he doing this? Sorry. And I called him up and says, why is John Lewis? And Bruce Dixon, being the communist atheist that he was, he says, man, it's okay if people like that. And he says, man, you're not saying anything. I says, I didn't say I'm saying anything, but can't somebody counter it? And he says, man, you don't know. John Lewis wanted to come out 12 years ago. But all the preachers around him, let me assume one of them, Bernard Lafayette, who's head of the Southern Christian Leadership Conference. If you wonder why if you're wondering why Bayard Rustin's getting so much love from the SCLC, you figure that out. I'm not saying anything. Now, moving right along, that John Lewis was told he couldn't come out of the closet because it would expose all the other people like him that were ministers and activists in the city. So John Lewis was forced to spend the last years of his life in the closet because other people who are in the closet, who are gay first and black last, who are in the civil rights industry, are faking the funk, and we're being lied to and deceived. I didn't say Bernard Lafayette was anything. I just said that Bernard Lafayette is one of those preacher friends of John Lewis. They're very John, of course, super close. He was the best man at his wedding. I know that from Kalia Clark. And when I would make homo jokes about John Lewis, Mother Clark, who's been very sick. In fact, I called on her birthday, saying, Kalia, this is John. Can I have some of your Crisco? I've got some men's coming over to see me. And she fell out laughing, right? She was laughing. And you wrong. And she's laughing. I mean, you tell me, what you're laughing, it's true. Don't, how dare you tell me? You stop it. And I kept doing it. Kalia, I'll get you some more. I'll get you some olive oil because you're so high class. Okay. But I just need it right now because they'll be here any minute, and it's not the same. We're gonna cook with it. We're gonna make booty cakes. Okay, so, and Mother Clark was laughing her guts out. There was another time I was with I've been sending people the thing where it says, I'm Congressman John Lewis from Atlanta, Georgia, and I'm a Southerner for marriage. Everybody, I fought for too hard and too long against discrimination based on race and color to tolerate discrimination against our gay and lesbian brothers and sisters. After being in a long, hard struggle, the time is now for us to embrace everyone. Why can't we just love each other? I mean, you've heard the video. I mean, this thing is crazy. Remember? You seen that thing where he says, I think the distinguished gentleman from New York. In 1956, the court made a decision. I remember that decision. I was supposed to attend integrated school. It didn't happen for me. Now is the time to set the country free. I yield the remainder of my time to distinguished gentleman from New York. Okay, so
Okay, so now Bruce Dixon, I know we lost him not too long ago. Was he a member of the Black Panther Party in Chicago? Was he there with Fred Hampton?
I don't know about the Black Panther Party, but I know he's a member of the Communist Party.
Like back in the day, I thought he was from Chicago.
He's from Chicago and was in the Communist Party. He may have been a Black Panther in the Black Panther and a communist. That conversation never happened in all the years that I knew Bruce Dixon, and we talked about many things. I do know he's a member of the Communist Party and a very good writer, researcher, a great activist, organizer. He was awesome.
He was consistent.
Yeah, I mean, no, Bruce, you know, we did have one big argument in the Peachtree Hotel back in 2013 or 12.
Okay.
We had a big fight over abortion, in which I won.
Oh,
yeah, I know. Just now, I shouted that communist nigga down. You don't kill, you won't have a damn proletariat if you kill all the damn babies. Okay.
Yeah,
No. I can't work with you. You wrong. This is sort of why I love my brother Glenn Ford, and I like some of the other leftist people, but they won't stand up for stop the baby killing. And they, I don't know if you know, but in the 80s, late 70s, early 80s, the communist parties and the socialists have all recognized LGBTQ as a minority oppressed group on par with blacks and others. So all of the leftist Negroes, they're also for the pedophile agenda. Sure they are. They're all liars if they don't, if they won't take a stand against it, which they're all lying. So if you're a communist, leftist, socialist, whatever, they're for pedophilia and people eating doo-doo and having sex with the dead and all. In fact, let's go into that thing real fast. This Gay Equality Act, let me share with you how funky and raunchy this thing is. If your mother or my mother died and this bill becomes law and Biden, his little pedophile ass, signs it into law, if there's a person that likes having sex with the dead that works at the funeral parlor that you or I take my mother's body to, they will have the legal right to have sex with your mom or my mom's corpse.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yes, it's provided for in the bill. They don't say it like see, here's the problem. Most people, they don't think, they don't research, they're stupid, they're lazy. Most people. So when you hear the term queer, you think it's just anal sex between two men or two women, or it's just a dog and a person. Queer means everything that isn't heterosexual marriage. That's what queer means. And gender also means however you're feeling at the moment. If you wanted to have sex with Jeffrey the giraffe of Toys R Us, then that's your gender for that moment. There's no limit to this stuff. In reality, we're going to legislate immorality and amorality and bind it to the future generations in this country. This is what our nigger trader leadership and the Congressional Black Circus, the National Asshole Network, the Leadership Conference for Civil Rights, all of these people are doing this filth. All of them. And the National Congress of Black Churches with that big, fat, despicable, greasy Quoon, and I think he's suspect preacher, Reverend Barbecue, a.k.a. Reverend William Barber, or as I say, Bishop Man Titty. The one, and I'll tell anybody, the good news about an apostate like Reverend Barber is the airplane or the train ride to hell, the seats are big enough for his fat ass to only need one seat. One size fits all on the train to hell. You're a sorry ass nigga preacher. I said it. And I'll keep cursing you and there are other people. Let me just tell you, just so you know, I was talking to one of the head judges in Pennsylvania, Brother Ron. Did I tell you this story the other day? And I did this interview on a religious program, so I didn't use any bad language. I was good. Because, my mother was down here the other day. Stop cussing. Stop cussing. Hell, I get enough donations. Anyway, so let me tell you, this judge kept saying, "I'm so glad to meet Dr. Short." And I'm thinking, I don't know any judges, especially a woman that never heard of it. And so when the show was over, she says, Dr. Short, I don't think you understand. I says, what am I not understand? She says, I actually know who you are. Says, you really know me? I don't know any judges. She says, but I know you. Says, really? She says, you don't know how hard when I was being interviewed, I had to struggle not to say Congressional Black Circus. I was struggling not to say that. And she said, just so you know, I don't like pork chop feminism. I says, ooh, this is scary. Then it gets better. She says, well, Reverend Green's my witness. Do you know, he called me and he was trying to get me to know someone's name and I couldn't get it. And then I said, are you referring to Reverend Barbecue? And the Reverend Green, who she said Reverend Barbecue to, fell out laughing. Then they both started laughing. And he says, you know Dr. Short? She says, no. He says, I do. And they all began to laugh. And I says, oh my God, you mean one of the judges responsible for fighting against pedophilia and human trafficking in Pennsylvania watches me on your show or on my lives? A judge. Ron, who the hell is listening to us? So I suspect Reverend Barbecue and the other bastards, we're wearing their asses out. And I just want to tell him he may as well lose some weight, because as long as he's fat, I'm going to make fun of him. In fact, I'm going to start praying that God vaccinate them and give them strokes and aneurysms to get rid of all these no good black preachers. In fact, the one thing I like about COVID is he's been breaking the bank of crooked nigger preachers. I mean, this is almost like Judgment Day. I mean, early. I'm living to see mega churches. I mean, you know, these folks are going to have to like convert some of their churches into housing because they have so little money, so few members. That's right. Well, by the way, tell people don't get the vaccination. By the way, there's an article on informationclearinghouse.com. And informationclearinghouse.com, the article is saying that by April, herd immunity to COVID will be a reality, which means nobody needs to get a damn shot unless they make a new virus to kill people. The answer to that is for folks, and I prayed on my broadcast, my Sabbath sermon, for God to take out Gates and his wife and his little ugly redhead daughter. She looks like Ronald McDonald with the sex change. She does. She looks like Ronald McDonald with processed hair. So yeah, hey, Lil Bear. Now, you know, I got put off of YouTube for a few weeks for showing me taking hydroxychloroquine. That stuff is good. And so is ivermectin. And I would do it again. I mean, YouTube can go to hell. And I'm working on going to Twitch and get my own little web page. So, you know, whenever they decide to just be idiots, I'll just be somewhere else. You know, I'm off of Facebook. I put a thing up. I didn't want ignorant black people, stupid black people on my wall. And anybody black that was dumb, stupid, a liar, in denial that thinks Trump destroyed Libya, I don't want to see them again. And Facebook said that I was engendering racial hatred and encouraging intolerance. Okay. So look, I could care less. You know what? I've always told people, I've had this feeling that Zuckerberg would take his own life. God hates the day. In fact, I hope a whole bunch of them do some, you know, cultic stuff and just do us a favor. Yes, I mean, I'm really sick of these social media people because they're engendering. You put me off of Facebook for saying I don't like ignorant, liar black people who blame Trump for what Obama did. But a black man can rape and kill 2 white women and they let that go up on Facebook. that should let you know Facebook is encouraging hatred against black people. And the black folks that tell the truth in social media get blocked and cornered all the time. Now, it's really something. And also, I just want to talk to you about, wow. Oh, yes. let's, let's have a discussion on the Supremes, since this is Florence's day, her day that she transitioned. And so please just start asking questions so I can answer them. A lot of folks don't know why I just love these three fine ass black women. I even like Diana Ross.
Tell us about why you like Diana Ross. Because a lot of people got this thing about Diana Ross. Or Diana Silverstein. Dr. Bobby Wright will call her.
No, she's Silverstein, I think, has changed his last name to Ellis.
Okay. He changed his last name to Ellis.
Yes, because he works with my publisher. That's her business partner. So, I'm not gonna trash Diana Ross. I'm gonna start cooning now. When you see me cooning, it's for a good reason. Let me say this of what I know of Ellis Ross or Mr. Silverstein.
Okay.
His business partner is a black woman who's not a coon, who's a dear friend of mine. And he supports decent stuff, content, films, and other things made about black people. So he's definitely not in the exploitation range of, and I think he's Jewish, but yeah, he's Jewish, but not dogging black folks. So now what I want to say about Diana Ross. Diana Ross, at the height of her stardom in the Supremes, would get in trouble for making remarks about civil rights because Barry Gordon wanted to make money, and folk would tell her, tone down, you can't do this. See, a lot of times when people are in the business, they're like, they see something, they want to run out and fight, and tell you can't do that and be a star. If you're going to be a star, you're going to be a peer. Diana Ross used to give money to the Black Panthers, and I'm talking about huge contributions to the Black Panthers. Not 1,000, but tens of thousands of dollars. Diana Ross gave money to radical black groups. You'll never hear about it. I know people in the Panthers, so you say something about Diana Ross, and they'll kind of tell you, please don't. We understand what she helped us. She would give money, do stuff. It's QT. I was talking to this brother today about, I am a black conservative, but that does not mean I'm a black coon. In fact, a black conservative is more likely to basically say, I'm a black nationalist, Christian. I'm a God-fearing, nationalistic black American. Okay, so I hate abortion. I believe in rights for everybody, but I don't think that you should legislate sexuality. Okay, definitely not pedophilia, other stuff. I believe that I'm for the patriarchy. I hate feminism, absolutely. HATE, feminism. Put that in your encyclopedia. I hate it. And your dictionary, look it up. Hate. Those feelings is how I feel about feminism. Children, women should be respected, loved. The family is the core of everything, and God is the center of all that. And I believe in self-defense, armed self-defense, and if need be, a little bit of offensive self-defense. Okay? We should buy from each other. We should love each other. We should help each other. And there are a whole bunch of people that I know that are conservative that will not talk a certain sort of militant language. A lot of niggas who don't do anything want to hear. They won't do that because a lot of times the same black people that I know doing stuff don't get supported by black people. They often get help from white people that they can't get from black people. If I told you certain times, brother, where No one black would help me, and someone white did. Do you realize I would have loved to have been funded by black people? It's a great feeling to be backed by your own, like how you're backed and we all be. I'm backed now on my channel by mostly black people. So I say what I think a lot of us feel and believe, and fearlessly. Having said that, I told this brother there's a thing you should look up on and Google. It's called Project 2000. It was headed by a man who's a cousin of mine named Spencer Holland. And Spencer Holland could get the worst of young black boys and get them into college, into best of colleges. I mean, literally, he would get F and D students and turn them into A students in less than a year. And they're going to Columbia, Juilliard, Harvard, Princeton, right? Even from the worst of families. Do you know, when I was talking to him, and we had a long conversation, probably the last time we talked. Do you know who was giving him huge amounts of money and support and getting him corporate to save these black boys from the streets? Clarence Thomas. The man's not a liar. Every time I ask when I need, I get more help from him than the people with their fist in the air and the kente. Clarence Thomas helps. As long as you're honest, he helps.
Mr. Black Conservative.
I'm not. I don't endorse how he's a judge. I've met Clarence Thomas in person. He was cooler than John Lewis, and John Lewis very nice. Sometimes I'm not defending anything Clarence Thomas has done. Do you know that he's put money into the community he came from in Georgia now, quietly fixing up the schools, doing stuff down in Pinpoint, Georgia? I'm not saying it suffices for what's been done improper in terms of decisions that he's made as a judge. But there are people who curse Clarence Thomas, which is their right, but they won't do anything for anybody. Lil Wayne is a good example, and they're going to kill his ass and get all of his masters. It's like, wow. So there's a lot of contradictions and chicanery. One of the people I looked up to, who's no longer with us, is a woman by the name of Jewel Mazik. Jewel Mazik was married to Dr. Mazik. Dr. Mazik was pressured to dump his wife and marry Harry Belafonte's first wife, Marguerite Belafonte Mazik. When Jewel Mazik was completely blackballed for standing up against school segregation across the country, she was Malcolm X's mentor. Since you're going to talk about Malcolm X, this woman's name is Jewel Mazik. She's a graduate of Spelman. She's the first black person to get an advanced graduate degree in the study of Africa. Her thesis was on African independence. She was Malcolm X's inside person for giving him information on Africa. If you wonder why Malcolm was so sharp, he was getting it from a woman who was my grandmother's best friend named Jewel Mazik. Jewel Mazik died in 2007. Jewel Mazik was the first black person in the Library of Congress to work in the rare book room. Jewel Mazik was also the first person to get she got blackballed in academia for exposing the fact that the reason that Georgia went from being a non-slaveholding state to a slave state was because Jewel Mazik exposed it in her graduate work at Wesleyan Seminary here in Washington, D.C., working on her second grad degree. Jewel Mazik refused to work for the CIA, so they destroyed her. When she had no help, when she, with 3 or 4 degrees. The only job she could get was as a janitor scrubbing floors because she was blackballed. Let me share with you how bad she was. Jewel Mazik was also a writer. Jewel Mazik worked with A. Philip Randolph, helped organize the March on Washington movement. That many people don't know. Jewel Mazik in 1959, had a peace pilgrimage where there was a flyover where I think she took about 50 people to Russia at the height of McCarthyism to demand no nuclear war. That's a crazy ass black woman, 59, with McCarthy still loose. This is a crazy black woman. She's one of the main people. She's one of the people that did all the research for school desegregation. She's one of the main people. You know who saved her? White Republicans. And white Republicans. She's a beautiful lady. A beautiful lady. Beautiful. I told you I like divas. She was beautiful. She was beautiful in her 90s. She's beautiful. I love her. I love her. I love her. I love her. There are pictures of her in the clothes from the 40s. She forced the Library of Congress to hire black people in better jobs. They eventually ran her out of the Library of Congress. They have destroyed her papers. They've destroyed her papers, and they've destroyed them in the DC library. They've erased this black woman. They've made her disappear. Her own children didn't appreciate who they destroyed her papers. It's really, if I tell you some stuff I've experienced where black families, like what Bernice King and Martin Luther King III and what they're doing to their father's legacy. It's a disgrace, King family. Y'all fucking up, okay? You're killing your father worse than the people. By the way, I'm gonna have to put this out there and go back to the Supremes. Did you hear that Motown's gonna re-release Dr. King's speeches? Because Dr. King was a Motown artist.
Well, I have a dream speech or what? I didn't know that.
Berry Gordy, there it is. There's a picture. That's from 1942. And she was out demanding that people desegregate the buses in D.C. when she was dressed like that. That's in the early 40s. Do you realize that's almost 80 years ago? This lady was saying, to hell with BS.
Dream girl. She's one of my Black History Dream girls, man.
She's a Spelman graduate, completely committed to black people.
I want stem cell research to bring her back, Dr. Shaw. You need to phone her.
She used to cuss out and go off on Eleanor Roosevelt.
I know why. She got away with it too. I know why.
If black people didn't get stuff in DC, if she could get it, she would make people do stuff.
Oh wow.
She was so pro-black, her husband was trying to kill her. So her husband was trying to kill her because he was a dentist and she was raising hell, and her husband, he was Boule. She wasn't Boule. And this happens. Y'all can't marry a sellout person because they will start to try to hurt you in your own home because you got to sell out if you're going to be with me. Even your penis and your vagina has to be political black people. Your dick can't be apolitical. And that's the problem. You know what kind of man has an apolitical dick? A simp.
Is that really a man or male, Dr. Short? Is he a male?
Or it's just say a male. If you have an apolitical penis, you're a simp. And you're a pork chop feminist if you're a reactionary or apolitical vagina. You're supposed to be procreating more people. In fact, we would be 100 million people today if we didn't practice abortion. Do you realize that 100 million people, we could damn just fucking strong arm our reparations? but we're just 40 or 50. We chumps. Can't kill one killer cop, but we can kill 20 million of our own babies. Damn. What kind of people do this stuff?
That's crazy. Like Mazik, y'all, is Mazique. Mazik. That's her last name.
I'm going to just say to you real fast. The one thing I can say good, I was able to reunite her with her best friend.
Okay.
Because the people harassed her all the way up to the time that she died. When I went to see her at a senior home, she would not receive me because she didn't know who I was and she thought I came to kill her. So I wrote her a 7-page letter and stuck it under her door. 6 o'clock the next morning, I got a call. I didn't know the numbers. Like, hello? She says, is this Randy? I says, yes. Who am I speaking to? She says, I'm the woman you wrote the letter to yesterday. And I want to let you know I heard knocking, calling my name. I didn't know who the hell you were. And at first, when I saw the note come under the door, she says, I'm not going to read this damn stuff. And then you know what she said? I read your letter. And she said, it was such a beautiful letter. Until you had to be for real, so I'm calling you. What do you want? And I told her, Martha Collison, your friend is sick. She wants to talk to you. And she says, you know, Marty? I said, yes. Some of us, like you and I, Ron, go by and visit older Black people, try to help out. And as much as I talk about pork chop feminists, I hope you ladies notice, I go and take care of old sisters. I love sisters. I used to do what I could do for Martha, who couldn't really walk that well, whatever. And I got those two ladies on the phone together, and they talked for 4 hours, and they were just crying, and we were able to get them together. And even better than that, since we talk about Malcolm X, I was able to get Peter Bailey into the meeting between Martha, Jewel Mazik, and I was just there watching. And Peter Bailey said, thank you. I always wanted to meet this mentor of Malcolm X. This is what Peter Bailey said. This woman is a giant. And it says, I'll never forget that you introduced me to Jewel Mazik. Hearing that from Peter Bailey, who's in the Audubon ballroom when Malcolm X was killed. I know. Peter lives down the street from me. What? In fact, you need to do that A Rising book with him. We should all do that. Look, Peter, Jewel, Martha Collison, who was an activist. These were people who fought in Baltimore and D.C. against racism, discrimination. They were hell-raising Black women. Okay. They all died, and they're all gone. But I feel blessed that I got to hug this lady. She kissed me. She thanked me. Wow. Her and Daisy Bates to have been able to touch these people, these sisters, the real Black women. If you want to know why I fight, why you fight, we're fighting for the Black women like her, and they don't have to be light-skinned. Black women matter. Black women's lives matter. Black femininity matters. Black motherhood matters. Black girlhood matters. And I'm raising hell with pork chop feminism because I know that there are righteous Black women like Jewel Mazik, who like Harriet Tubman, like my grandmother through adoption, Irene Morgan. I know I've told you that story before, but just plain and simple.
She was freedom riding back in the 40s, right?
Freedom rider in the 40s. And she beat the asses of the cops that arrested her and paid damages. And she didn't get a scratch. She put their asses in the hospital.
That was some special women from that generation, from that era, man. That was a different type of women, man.
It was love at first sight when I met. I didn't even know who she was until I kept asking Morgan questions until I got the answer. Says, "Oh my God, I've been trying to meet you for like 4 years." And so, back to the Supremes.
Back to the Supremes.
And Diana Ross, you asked me. So, one, Diana Ross, whether you like or hate her, she's produced several Black children that are accomplished. And if truth be told, she basically helped catapult the group at a certain point because she had Berry Gordy. And Diana Ross has not been a negative representative of Black women, white husbands, aside. I mean, she hasn't trashed Black women. And she doesn't trash Black men. I've never heard of Diana Ross dogging Black men. Like Oprah, Whoopi. Think about it. As much as you don't like Diana Ross.
About it now. Even when Paul Moody did some jokes about her doing some BET thing, she didn't really say anything.
Diana Ross has been classy all along. Diana Ross bailed out Mary Wilson when she was broke. She sent significant amounts of money to Florence Ballard's family. That money got played. So does she have an ego? Is she a diva and others? Probably. But when little Malcolm got killed in Mexico, Diana Ross signed our petition. That's the only celebrity that put their name down that they wanted justice for Malcolm X's grandson. Only Diana Ross. Only Diana Ross. None of the rappers, none of these people.
Not even Spike Lee who did the biopic.
Only Diana Ross. I'm certain. I am certain that they're flaws. But that was a personal campaign I was in. That's correct. Diana Ross signed and endorsed a petition to get justice for Malcolm X's murdered namesake grandson. Nobody else notable in this country, Black, did, but Diana Ross. How did she even find a little petition like ours?
Oh, so y'all didn't even try to get her to do it. She just did it.
She just did it.
Wow.
I'm trying to say to you, if you read some stuff, when the riots and all were going on, Berry Gordy would have to tell Diana Ross, you can't say anything about riots. You have to understand the police came close to killing Diana Ross's brother Chico during the Detroit riots. He was in her car and the police didn't believe it was his. And they beat her brother up. So Diana Ross has rage, Black rage in there. It's there. It's there. Playing the Billie Holiday thing, if you understand that she was denied. See, Billie Holiday did not die from drugs. She was denied medical care the last 10 days of her life. So if someone came up and gave her some heroin, she was in pain because they wouldn't give her medical treatment. Mr. Arslinger, the big narcotics person, they denied. She's a victim. Billie Holiday was a victim of medical neglect. They punished her for her song. Strange Fruit was an anti-lynching song that J. Edgar Hoover and all of them wanted to destroy Billie Holiday for speaking out against lynching.
You know, heard that her manager Joey Glaciers, he got the Harry Anslinger and the government to get her though.
Yeah, but the point is
manager,
this,
Joe
but he's a Jew, okay?
Yeah.
But
And
what
he
I'm
was Armstrong's manager too, Joe Glacier.
what I'm saying to you is that Billie Holiday didn't just die a junkie. They destroyed her as much as she had self-destructive behavior.
Yeah.
Huey Newton didn't just die a junkie.
Right.
They set things up for this to be the outcome. And so what I'm going to say to you, Diana Ross has been in the business since 1960. They ultimately arrested her ass on the DUI. Right? They did. But if you look at her, none of her kids, none of her family, well, I'm not talking about, I'm talking about the mother. The daughter not marrying, that's the daughter's choice.
Right.
The mother's been married. At least she tries to get a man. Now she's lost like one dead, one divorced. Maybe they'll marry again, but then again, maybe you stop. By the way, Diana Ross was trying to hook up with Marvin Gaye. That's who she wanted. Marvin Gaye's too messed up with drugs.
He was married to Barry Gordy's sister for a minute,
yes,
right?
well,
older than he was.
A lot of people wanted Marvin Gaye. Diana Ross wanted Marvin Gaye. She tried to get him.
But him and Tammy was they was like platonic, right?
They're just friends. Diana Ross wanted Marvin Gaye, and she tried to get him. He was too messed up. In fact, he was running from her. He didn't think he was good enough. So there was a black man. And I think Marvin Gaye is pretty representative of a black man with some conscious creativity, with all this complexity. That's who Diana Ross wanted that she couldn't get. So when black men are screwed up, sometimes sisters make alternative plans. Sometimes when sisters are messed up, brothers make alternative plans. If we stay drug and alcohol and sanity free, it makes it easier. I think Diana Ross liked Michael Jackson, but he's too young. Diana doesn't seem to run after young boys. She's not a cougar.
People like that Diana Ross. They blame Diana for everything. Like she has something to do with Michael Jackson being confused about certain
no.
things. I heard, over the years.
That's not true at all. Let's be honest. That Joe Jackson did things to those boys, had them go with strippers, all kind. What he did was
I heard
Joe Jackson did pedophilia stuff with those kids. It's just a fact. Don't put that on Diana. This happened before Diana showed up.
They were performing in strip clubs.
But also having horse and stuff and letting folks, and Michael getting criticized for not wanting to be molested. So the half hasn't been told how he raised those kids. So please don't put all of that on Diana Ross. There's stuff to dislike about Diana Ross. I agree, but don't put all of that. And think about the fact that the Jones girls, remember the Jones girls from Philadelphia? Diana helped establish them. I don't know about what Suzanne DePass did. I don't know anything about that.
He didn't have a childhood. I would say Michael Jackson never did have a chance to be just a kid. Even Dick Gregory talked about how he would open up the refrigerator, the light come on, and he started performing. Because Dick was real close to Michael Jackson.
Yeah, so I like Michael Jackson.
And Marvin Gaye. He was close to Marvin Gaye.
My father and Frankie, Marvin's favorite brother, were in a singing group called the Faith Brothers. So Frankie and my father were classmates from Spingarn High School in DC. And so Frankie was in my dad's Bible study group, and my dad met my mom performing, doing a gospel concert with Frankie. I was one of the lead singers for the group. So, yeah, Frankie was present when my mom met my dad. They were all in the same singing group. My dad did not know Marvin, but my dad did know Marvin's dad. Marvin's.
What you say about Marvin's dad? What you take your father's take on Marvin's dad? Strange or something?
You have to understand, my dad, if you were in the church, you were okay. There was a generation where if you were in the church praising God, you got a pass.
Right.
So Marvin Gaye's father got a pass. Marvin Gaye's mother was my grandfather's cousin and my grandmother's friend. They think they went to school together in Rocky Mount, North Carolina.
Oh, wow. Rocky Mount is a powerful place. It was the long his monk was born in Rocky
Right.
Mount. He's from Rocky Mount.
Right. And so is the guy Buck. So, by the way, I was saying to you, and I left out something. I was in I was in Kansas City, Missouri. All the Black culture stuff that's being supported and funded in historic Kansas City, Missouri, the biggest help came in was from Republicans, not from Democrats. And Black folk, I mean, it's thinking, wow. I'm not saying maybe no Republicans like Black people, but if they bring in gifts, take them.
Oh, most definitely.
Now back to the Supremes.
Right.
Now that I've done Diana. Diana was ambitious and so forth, but these are three Black young women that dared to dream. Now, I knew another Supreme. She died in 2019. And her name was Barbara Martin. And Barbara Martin quit the Supremes in 1963, if I'm correct, to get married.
Oh, that's early. Wow.
Well, no, they were at Motown. They were singing. She was on the records. Maybe she left. I think she left in 60, maybe 64, 63, 64.
So when did the Supremes come? I know they was in an incubation period where they were getting training and stuff. So
right, and they had regional hits. Okay, they had something. I was saying in my other broadcast, when they were about 13 years old, Florence, Mary, and Diana, maybe one other lady, went over to the International Rock Contest in Windsor, Canada, and they beat everybody there.
Wow.
As young teenagers. So, I mean, that's going to another country. You know, it's white there, but they went over to Canada and took their stuff and brought it back to Detroit. Okay, so they wanted something. And so the aspirational desire, and they didn't want to be pregnant. They didn't want to be on drugs. They wanted something. And what you need to know, because, you know, Diana Ross has a sister who's one of the best doctors in Michigan. I think if they're in Michigan or in Nashville. Diana Ross's sister is one of the most distinguished Black doctors in the country. So their family, they were driven, they were driven to be successful. Now, what happens, they got their hits, and the first hit, Where Did Our Love Go, in the summer of 1964. Where Did Our Love Go? What's pivotal about it is that all of their families had saved up money for them to go to college. And these young women were being pressured to go to college. Maybe not Florence, but definitely Mary and Diana. So that hit record took them from possibly going to college to being the number one pop group in the United States from about 1960 to 1970. So check it out. Where Did Our Love Go hit in the summer of 1964. It goes to number one on the Black chart, US Billboard chart, number one in Canada, number one in Norway, number one in New Zealand, top 10 in about 15 countries. That first record, that's pretty phenomenal. Are you understanding me? Think about how segregated and unfair and distribution and how folk treated black people. And these ladies are a hit in 30 countries with their first major record. Okay, it sells very well. On top of that, it goes to number 3 in Great Britain. If there wasn't so much prejudice, it would have been a number 1 record there. They follow up with the Sound-alike song called Baby Love.
Oh, yeah.
It goes number 1 R&B, number 1 pop. Simultaneously in England and the United States for an entire month, it was the number 1 record. It's number 3 record in Canada. It was number 1 record in about 8 countries worldwide. That's good. If an artist did that now, imagine then, segregated market, and then they put their album out in late '64. Where Did Our Love Go? And of course, they released the song "Come See About Me." When that song went number 1 pop, and it was a top 10 record worldwide. And it was number 2. No, I think it's number 1 R&B record as well. Yeah, number 1. So they had 3 consecutive number 1 pop, number 1 R&B. And by the way, I think Come See About Me was number 1 in Canada too. So they had 2 number 1 hits in Canada out of their first 3 number 1 records.
Oh, wow.
Okay, no, that's it. You didn't know that. So the Supremes are perhaps the biggest female group in the history of Canada, as well as the United States.
That's something that's interesting.
Okay, yeah, no, they had to. And remember, that's the first place where they just turned it out. They took a prize to the teenagers, so they have a very strong relationship in Canada. Then they released their album, Where Did Our Love Go? Where Did Our Love Go was the first album in pop music history to have 3 number 1 records and a total of 4 top 20 records at the same time. That's the equivalent of Thriller.
I mean, okay, so it would be fair to say that Beyonce is the Diana Ross of the time, or you think that's an insult? Or you think
I think Diana Ross and them had a little more class than Beyonce and a lot more tact. I think that Beyonce, she's okay. She can say, I don't hate Beyonce. So, I mean, I loved Independent Woman, even though it's a feminist song. I like that. Throw your hands up at me, making money, throw your hands up. Okay, I liked it. The bass line on that was awesome. And look, when Where Did Our Love Go came out as an album, by the way, it was a number 1 album in England under the name Meet the Supremes. Okay, so by the way, so there's something, and I was saying on my broadcast before, that there's a lot of deceit on the Billboard charts when they talk about whose records hit where and what. I think the Jackson 5 had a total of 7 number 1 records. You understand what I'm saying? But they shaved it. For example, the song Dancing Machine sold 3-4 million copies.
I can see that, yeah.
It did. But yet the song that they had number 1 above it was Joy to the World that sold 1 million. You mean 4 is less than 1? Yes, when you're dealing with racism, a 4 million selling record is greater than a 1 million selling record by a white person. In fact, I'm thinking one day of writing an essay and giving my take on who had which hits. So the reason I'm going there is that when Where Did Our Love Go with 3 number 1 records on it, as well as a bunch of their earlier hits, it was a deluxe package record. And what made it unusual is you had 3 fine-ass, pretty black women on the cover. Back when a lot of artists that were black wouldn't put their faces on to avoid losing white buyers, they had their faces on there. And so when someone tells me that record didn't go to number 1, part of what they used to do was call people and ask people what's selling. if you didn't like black people, even if you wouldn't tell people how well it's selling. But Where Did Our Love Go sold about 4 million albums worldwide. The Beatles, they say, kept their record at the number 2 spot for 4 weeks. However, Where Did Our Love Go stayed on the charts for 90 weeks. It's almost 2 years. So it was on in 64, 65, and 66, still selling. And by the way, to show you how popular the Supremes are, they did a British Invasion album called Live, A Little Bit of Liverpool. It went to top 20, and it sold close to 1 million. They did a Christmas album, which was the number 1 Christmas album for about 2 years. It sold 1 million in its first year, its Christmas album. So they had like almost 3 platinum albums from the onset. I mean, are you getting me? Then they did 3 other albums. Each of them charted. Each of them, I think they did one on Sam Cooke. It sold about 400,000. They did one that was just awful. It was trash, but it still sold about 300,000. Then they did their next album, right? Because they had 3 number 1 records. They had an album that was selling. They had albums selling in the millions. Since people talk about Beatlemania, sit down and think about it. These ladies had 4 albums in the top, or 3 albums in the top 20 at the same time, and some of them in the top 10. And that's their first shot out, right? And they had then if you add the other ones, they had about 7 or 8 albums on the charts at the same time. That's good. That's great. Then they come out with their next album, More Hits by the Supremes. And they get 2 more number 1 records, Stop in the Name of Love and Back in My Arms Again, right? Million sellers. They have another song that they don't treat as well called Nothing But Heartaches, but it sells 1 million. So they do their second album with 3 million sellers and 2 number 1 records on it. Right? Then they release a live album. It sells 1 million and goes to the top 10. A live album going to the top 10. The Supremes at the Copa. So it sells 1 million. So that's like their third. And by the way, More Hits by the Supremes sold about 2 million. So they had 3 platinum records in less than a year. 4.
Okay. That's impressive.
That would be impressive now. Imagine when okay, and they're on all the TV shows. When they were able to get into the Copacabana, they opened the doors for the Temptations of Four Tops, for the Spinners, for everybody else to perform in the best, highest paying venues in the world because they broke through. Again, a million selling live album. Then they come out with another album. Same year, 65. And this album is I Hear Symphony. 2 top 10 records. I Hear Symphony. By the way, it sells 1 million and almost 1 million and 1,350,000, 1,700,000. That's just in the United States. That's not talking about abroad. Remember, I told you they had hits worldwide once Where Did Our Love Go? Right? By the way, their song My World Is Empty Without You, Babe, I think was a number 1 hit in Canada. Nothing. So yeah, damn, they get a hit there that they don't get here. Are you saying? And this is, you don't have this really happening right now in the music business. So imagine back with Jim Crow and all this stuff, how this must have been crazy. I was saying in my previous broadcast, where I lived in Virginia, in Fairfax County, the people were really racist. I mean, I can recall going to the store and this white lady was unhappy about something and she was screaming. And because I think she bought something that had been damaged or she bought an iron or something. And she's screaming, "I want the manager. Where's the damn manager?" And there's a black man standing there. And I'll never forget this. He says, "I am the motherfucking manager." And, and that white woman was so clown. But when you would go in the store, yes, I mean, my mother was there and we weren't supposed to. I mean, I fell out laughing. Yes, Ron, I fell on the floor and laughed. And I know my mother was mad. I don't care. This was good to me. It was good to me. I think this is like 1969.
Oh wow!
And I was remembering telling people that even in my racist neighborhood, the mannequins in the stores for clothes, the mannequins look like the Supremes. As much as white women are jealous of black women, they wanted clothes like the Supremes wore. So in the store, it's a very store that follow me around because you're black to make certain that you don't steal. The mannequins for women's wear look like Diana Ross, Florence, and Mary. You have to understand how racist the area I lived in was 1% black. These ladies made an impact, right? When you got Klans women wanting to look and dress like you.
Right.
And so it goes on. I mean, just hit after hit after hit. You know, someone mentioned the British invasion to show you how potent these sisters were. There's an unsung diva who I want you to interview, Brother Ron, because let me tell you, if you're a black man, a real black man, and you want to feel loved when you hear a black woman sing, I strongly recommend that you discover a singer by the name of Brenda Holloway. Brenda Holloway. This lady had a few hits, but when she sings, you feel like she's about to unbuckle your belt. She is so, and she's gorgeous. She's as nice, sweet as pie. In fact, Ron, I was sick on my birthday, which was February 9th. So if anybody wants to donate on my birthday, y'all can. Yeah. Do you know that Brenda Holloway called me on Valentine's Day to wish me a happy birthday?
Oh,
I was so shocked. It almost took all the pain of Mary being dead. And I'm like, "Are you this really you?" But I could tell from her voice, "It's you, my God." So I says, "Look, you don't know me, but I'm a fan of yours way back to when I was a teenager." And I said to her, "Let me just tell you what you mean to me." I said, "Do you know I used to have your picture, Kim Weston's picture, Mary Wilson, and the Supremes picture on my door. And whenever I had an examination, I would kiss you and them before going to school." I said, "I never failed." And when I came back, I kissed all y'all, but I went back in my room door. I said, that's I stayed on the honor roll. Brenda Holloway. She was the opening act for the Beatles at Shea Stadium in 1965.
Oh, wow, okay.
What that means is that the Beatles had a lot of respect for the black artists and they gave them props. So Brenda Holloway, had Motown better promoted Brenda Holloway, there should be a live album of Brenda Holloway at Shea Stadium. Are you understand me? If you go into YouTube and you look up Brenda Holloway, you will see that Dick Clark was infatuated with her voice.
Oh, I'm looking at her right now.
She's fine. She can sing. And when Brenda Holloway sings to you, you feel like she's going to unbuckle your pants and unbutton your shirt and then let you do. Her voice is so smooth, so sweet. And by the way, she's married. I think she's married to a black man, happily married. And she's awesome. Awesome. By the way, that song, You Made Me So Very Happy, that's her.
Oh my God.
You have to
Oh,
see her. There is a thing with her singing her song, What Are You Gonna Do When I'm Gone? And
uh-huh.
she has on the Catwoman suit, leather from the top down.
Oh, really?
And
Find that.
she is a great, she's still great. Not only could she sing, she's a violinist and she wrote
Oh, wow.
songs. Like she wrote the song, You Made Me So Very Happy. I'm so glad you came into my life. She's the one that you've heard that by Blood, Sweat, and Tears.
Okay.
They copied her song, they got a bigger hit.
Yeah, she's beautiful. I'm looking forward to hearing her voice. I'd like it up there.
Oh, and there's something. It's called Spellbound. It's an album that's
Yeah.
never been released in the United States. You can hear
Oh,
samples of it
Spellbound.
on Spell. Oh, yes, it's you might find on YouTube. All of her songs are good. There's a song that Michael Jackson sang. I've Been Good to You. It's a Smokey Robinson song. This lady sings it better.
Really?
She's one of the best singers. In fact, if you listen to the records now, it's the recordings were so well done. Yes, Spellbound.
Well, it is Motown. They got that great sound. So.
Yeah, but she was from Los Angeles. She
Okay.
didn't record in Detroit
Oh,
before
okay. I got it.
before Motown moved to Los Angeles.
But they still had James Jamerson on that bass guitar, though.
Well, not for her recordings.
Not for her recording?
No.
Oh, okay. So
She recorded typically in Los Angeles.
Mhm. You should see him, James. I thought he moved to LA too. I mean, I saw that Funk Brothers documentary he did
By
a
time,
while
if
back.
he did move to LA, she had left Motown by that time.
Okay.
See, Motown had other divas than Diana Ross. There's another really great singer who's gorgeous. Not Brenda. What's her name? She had a song, Forget You Ever Knew Me, Baby. What's this one? You've seen the Elvis Presley movie when he plays a priest in a bad parish? Her
Oh,
name is
Elvis.
Barbara McNair. Barbara McNair.
Okay.
She died, I think, from drugs. It's sad. Barbara McNair is good looking, but light skinned. Ex fine, pretty black woman. Light skinned black woman, pretty. She, Brenda Holloway, and of course Kim Weston are the best women singers that Motown had. Better than Martha Reeves, better than Diana, but they didn't get the professional push. And Sarita Wright, who did get a little bit, but just the best ones. And I would Jean Terrell with the Supremes. Jean Terrell was very good. She didn't get the kind of love she should have. But that's what it is. So the Supremes were the ones that got the breaks. But just be clear that nobody did. I mean, just the breakthroughs that these sisters did, the Supremes. I mean, 18 million selling records, 13 number one records, I think 4 number one albums. In fact, there she is.
Barbara McNair.
Beautiful.
Damn.
She's
Barry Gordy, having that relationship with Barry Gordy helped a lot, right?
well,
I mean,
it ain't
I'm
no.
never saying I know it's business.
Well,
But
hold
you know what
on.
I'm saying?
So maybe ain't no coochie deep enough. That's what she had on Barry Gordy.
But man, they had some gorgeous women.
There's some fine. They could sing.
Oh, they
This.
didn't even make it. Like you said, they didn't even make the cut. Wow, so much talent.
So Barbara McNair is awesome, beautiful
Yes, she is.
lady. She's a beautiful lady. This is sort of something I'm into. I love these black women that can sing. Look at
Wow, have you written a book? You need to write a book about this.
Maybe I should. I think about
Very
it.
passionate about it, very knowledgeable about it.
Yeah, Barbara McNair. You're gonna love my baby, and if you do is cry, 'cause I still love him. She. So one thing we'll give Diana Ross, because Berry Gordy was a pimp for a short period of time, according to his wife.
I mean, he from Detroit.
No, but he was a pimp. He was a pimp, according to his first wife. The book is out there, Berry Gordy and Me.
I believe that Aretha Franklin's first husband, Ted White, was a pimp, right?
Yeah, and yeah, well, yeah.
Yeah.
And
Detroit, though, like you said about Philly, Detroit got that type of thing about them too.
But her father was a pimp, so let's just be real. I'm going through. I'll take away what others would do. No, I got his voice. Yeah, no, I got him down. You know that's him. Your mother is a friend who's with you till the end. No other on earth you'll find. She's always on her knees, saying, Lord, have mercy, please. Your mother is a friend all the time. Okay. Yes, that is him. Yeah, I got him. I did it.
Oh man, it's so much crazy. I mean, amazing.
Now you know, goodness well, Aretha's daddy got run out of Memphis for getting a girl pregnant. Okay, that's right. Because they have a house. What's the street there that Aretha's house is on? The house is still.
I've been there. I went there this week when she died. That's when she was born.
Mm-hmm.
They still got it.
Yeah.
Aretha had issues with Memphis. I can understand why.
Mm-hmm.
She ain't like coming back here, from my understanding.
Mm-hmm. So that's why I like the Supremes and Florence Ballard. I mean, the Supremes to this day are still the number one group. They're the number 4 group in England. They're the number 1 American group. And overall in rock and roll, they're the number 1 group. Thank you, Glennis. They're the number 1 group in the world. And that's incredible. I mean, that the record still stands. And it's 3 Black girls who says, we're going to be someone. Okay. And Florence was cocky in spite of getting raped, in spite of coming from a big dysfunctional family. Diana had the voice that they liked. Mary was fine as hell, right? But Florence had the drive. And when Berry Gordy initially rejected him, she didn't like him from then, saying, if he didn't see how great we are, he doesn't know anything. That's from like the very get-go. I'm like, wow. So, and what you also, a lot of people don't know Diana. Let me share something with you once we talk about the Supremes. Diana Ross got in more trouble because Diana Ross wanted to be a rocker. She wanted to sing hard and do that. That's what was out there. She was told she couldn't do this. And by the way, each time they made a hard rocking record, the Supremes didn't sell when they did let's talk about song, Nothing But Heartaches. It's a great song. Nothing but heartaches and 4 to the floor, Funk Brothers. It's great. Top 10 in Canada. Cashbox says it was top 10 here, but Billboard says it was number 11. I agree. That's why I said when I do my chart, I'm going to reposition the records. By the way, like there were only like maybe 8 or 9 number 1 albums in Billboard in 1965. How could the Supremes sell 4 million and be the 4th best-selling album of the year, but they never got to number 1 on the charts? Do you see how insane that is? Where they play with that. So it's a way. And so they did this with the Jackson 5s with Never Can Say Goodbye and other songs to rate them lower and to give the hit to, yes, Michael Jackson did write Muscles for Diana Ross. And by the way, that song got to number 10. It was there for about 7 or 8 weeks.
Okay.
So it was, but are you getting me? So that the song "Nothing But Heartaches" didn't go too high. They did another song. Oh, by the way, I left out an album because right after I had Hear a Symphony, they did another album called Supremes A Go Go. Supremes A Go Go went to #1. It knocked the Beatles album out of the #1 chart. Okay. It sold 2 million copies and was #1. And in fact, it made it into the top 15 in England. But this album had the song You Can't Hurry Love, which was a smash song, #1 song in multiple countries, #1 soul, #1 pop, #1 Canada. Right. I mean, in fact, the Supremes even recorded in German and had hits in Germany just to show you what they were doing. I mean, that's good. That's back then. Let me just say to you that this album was good, went to #1, but it had another song, "Love Is Like an Itching in My Heart." It's got a very hard bass line, a hard drums. It goes to maybe #7 or 8 on the charts, or 9. When the Supremes would rock, people had put them up on a pedestal. They didn't let them do that. They couldn't do that. And a lot of times, this is what I want to say to some of you listening. A lot of people get put places instead of trying to get there. And a lot of Black people, the scriptures say jealousy is more cruel than the grave. And Black people who are jealous are more cruel than the grave. They're jealous of Diana Ross making it. What they failed to see is if someone saw that they had the drive, they put them there. Now, let me tell you something about Diana Ross so that people don't know. Berry Gordy was at a certain point was prepared to cut Diana Ross off over one song in 1965. Berry Gordy wanted the Supremes to do more than Black venues and other things. He wanted them to go to a higher level, Las Vegas and other places. Berry Gordy told Diana Ross she needed to learn a song. You're nobody till somebody loves you, You're nobody till somebody loves you, right? Diana Ross, like, that's a white song. I don't want to, I'm not doing it. And she told Berry Gordy no. And Berry Gordy was prepared to say, you know what? I'm going to channel my energies into another act if they don't do this song. Diana Ross was given an ultimatum to perform the song. And she told him he wouldn't do it. Towards the end of the show, she sang it. And Berry Gordy says, "That's my star." Okay, because in other words, it's a show tune. She wants to rock. And he says, do the show tunes. See what I'm saying? A lot of folks say Diana Ross was fake. No, Diana Ross was steered to go that way.
It sounds like what kind of happened to Whitney Houston and Clyde Davis, but also somebody, it was a Miles Davis wife. I ain't talking about Cicely Tyson. I'm talking about Betty Davis.
Right.
She was a talented singer. She was ahead of her time. She was like a cross between Madonna, Tina Turner, Beyonce, all that. Mm-hmm. But she was the one that pushed Miles into the fusion, the bitches Bruce type of stuff, the fusion jazz. But her career did not take out. They shelved her. She cut albums and everything, and they just shelved her. But
you know what? You know what we need to do? There's a movement in England called Northern Soul.
Yeah, I heard about it.
Okay.
Tell me about it.
You know who the queen of Northern Soul is?
Diana Ross?
No.
Betty Davis?
No.
Tell me.
Kim Weston is the favorite singer for Northern Soul.
I got you, Kim Weston. You know her well.
So what I'm saying, I'm just telling you who the queen is. Mm-hmm. It's not the Diana.
Luther Allison was the king of the blues, but he wasn't acknowledged here. I mean, they always said BB, but towards the end was Luther Allison before he died.
Right.
I understand.
Right.
Was so Motown connected to Luther Allison?
I don't know. Forgive me. That's something I don't know. But where I'm going with this is that Diana and them were taken in a direction. In fact, Florence Ballard didn't like some of the music that the Supremes were doing. They want to do more Black stuff. So Diana and them were steered into the crossover more than what they crossed over with. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And when they would do hard stuff, right? A lot of times people didn't receive it. So this song, Love is Like an Itching in My Heart, is one of the funkiest songs that Motown put out. But because it's the Supremes, the people didn't give it the same love as I need love, love, tease my mind. Right. They want something soft and kittenish. That's what that you can't we won't let you rock. And by the way, Martha Reeves, Gladys Knight, Be, what's the one? Betty Wright. There's another one. What's the light skinned one? Cadillac Records. Give me her name.
Etta James.
Etta James. You had black women. You had black women that could rock. They didn't want that from Supremes. It didn't allow it. Okay. And
the white people and the black people
shutting it down. So what eventually happened? Only
brought the Ike Turner thing. He let Tina do her thing.
Right. What I'm saying to you is,
Ike let Tina do her thing.
What ultimately happened, right, was that only when they began to no longer be able, because of the riots and other things in the mood, then they came out with Love Child. A top 10 album and a song that sold 2.5 million records in 6 months. Right? That's a smash. #1 record in Canada, #1 in many, many, many countries. So you get where I'm coming from. And of course, Someday We'll Be Together. That was a big thing. But they also did stuff with the Temptations. What a lot of people younger don't understand is that when the Temptations and the Supremes did TCB, everybody black in America was in the house to watch them. Because it used to be that black people weren't on TV often. I mean, you would call someone, Diane Carroll was on television. Oh, the Supremes on television, the Temptations, the Four Tops, Sammy Davis. Look, because black people were largely invisible in my lifetime, the Supremes and these other people kind of kicked the door open that we black people are here. They were everywhere on all the shows. Basically, they were a cultural force and a presence, as was Motown, as was Aretha Franklin. I mean, I know what it's like to look out the window of my dad's church and see 30 some odd people holding transistor radios and everybody's listening to Aretha all at one time, all up and down 8th Street Northeast. Everybody's got a transistor and they're listening to one thing and one thing only, Aretha Franklin. You get where I mean? That's that Aretha Franklin. That's a whole nother discussion. We're gonna do that when that movie finally comes out. By the way, we got a few more minutes, brother. You've seen that movie, Judas and the Black Messiah.
I'm glad you brought that up. Let me address something right quick. I gotta address something in the. Daniel Koopy said, "Ron, I'm a native of California's Central Coast. We had the Monterey Blues Festival out here for many years, man. You need to write a book about Bobby Blue Bland, my favorite blues artist. I got a Bobby Blue Bland story, actually. I met him the year before he died in 2013. It's at the historic marker unveiling for Royal Studios. Willie Mitchell, he cut out them classics with Al Green and Dan Peebles and all them. They were all down there. And Bobby Blue Bland was in his wheelchair and stuff. And he was cool, man. He was laid back, cool. Everybody. I was Bobby Blue Bland. So I approached Bobby Blue Bland. I said, hey, Bobby, man, I respect so much. I remember when you started in that group, I heard about the Bill Streeters, B.B. King, and Johnny Ace, and Roscoe Gordon, and all you guys, Junior Parker. Y'all like the Wu-Tang Clan of the blues. He looked at me like I was crazy. I said, I mean the Wu-Tang Clan are the Bill Streeters of hip-hop. He said, yeah, that's right. So I asked him about Johnny Ace. A lot of kids don't know about Johnny Ace. He really was the first rock and roll star, really. He shot himself to death on Christmas night.
Right.
Concert.
With the roulette.
It wasn't even Rush Roulette. What he was doing, he was pointing the gun around and telling you, clicking and saying it was empty. And he pointed to himself and shot himself. And he had a surprised look on his face. Bobby Blue Bland was in the group with him, the Bill Streeters. The reason why he got his break in the business is because Bobby Blue Bland was functionally illiterate. He couldn't read. So they passed the sheet music to Johnny Ace. did this song called My Song, and the rest is history. But Bobby Blue Bland, Johnny Ace, he was the big star. In order to get him as your headliner, you had to book B.B. King, Bobby Blue Bland, or Little Richard as his opening act. And all those guys are in every music hall of fame you could be in. Johnny Ace is not in one.
But okay, so Ron, let's do this.
But what I was saying about Blue Bland, he was gonna talk to me. He said, "I'll talk to you about Bobby and all that stuff." I tried to call him. His wife answered the phone. She wouldn't let me talk to him. But he was cool.
Okay, well, let's do this. You and I can call Bobby Rush, and we can start on that.
I talked about.
I talked to him a couple of days ago. Let's do it. 2 or 3 of us can do it. Let's not feel bad about it. Let's do it. Now, what I was going to say is, for Bobby Blue Bland, further on up the road. I love that song. You know, it's a ripoff of my Bishop song here in D.C. that was a million seller.
What's that?
It's a song called Further On Up the Road, further up, further up, further up, further up, on up the road. It starts off slow, and it says, there's some things we don't see that are quite clear. And they just sing, and then it says, but then it gets to the point where it starts saying, but further on up the road, we'll understand. So the guy will give a line. Further, beautiful flowers will be seen further on up the road. Jesus will be there further on up the road. And so Bobby Bland ripped off Bishop Smallwood Williams' #1 gospel song, Further On Up the Road. I got a copy somewhere in here. I love Bobby Blue Bland's version, and I love the Bishop's choir. Johnny Ace, there was a record store around about 4 blocks from my house here. And there was a Johnny Ace album, but it was from Japan. And it was like $30. And I never bought the Johnny Ace stuff because they were foreign imports. So I've never bought or owned a Johnny Ace because the prices were so high.
You know what's crazy about Johnny Ace story? His granddaughter's legacy, the popular R&B singer today. That's a grandfather, Johnny Ace.
Mm-hmm.
I had a chance to talk to his widow, his sister, one of his sisters, his daughter, who was about 2 years old when he passed away. And it's interesting, the family not really pursuing. I talked to his brother, St. Clair Alexander, before he passed away. He was a victim. He was an A-bomb veteran. He was exposed to radiation when they were doing like all those
stuff in the desert. Yeah.
Yeah, he got exposed. His commanding officer said, "Look, y'all been exposed to high level radiation. Y'all won't make it to 40. If you make it to 40, you're gonna have a messed up life. You're gonna pass that on to your children." This dude, when I met him around the anniversary of his brother's death back in December 2009, he told me on the phone that he's half a man. I said, "How you tell me he's half a man? It's like a man to me." I go to his home where he's staying with his sister. Half his lower body is missing. And he told me about being an A-bomb veteran. What I did was I started researching what an A-bomb veteran was. The government was giving payouts to people for about $80,000, $75,000 to $80,000. So I contacted Congressman Steve Cohen's office and wrote a letter about this guy. Could they investigate his claim of being exposed to high levels of radiation, A-bomb testing back in the desert? They wrote him back and they verified that it was true. He was an A-bomb veteran, but they didn't have no money for him. I said, y'all could at least give him the $80,000, $75,000, because his commanding officer told him that they would get a letter of thank you for your service from President Eisenhower, and they never got that letter. So that would have been
documentation. Well, Steve Cohen, sorry, but you weak ass niggas in Memphis tolerate that.
I can't say nothing about that.
I mean, I'm telling you, dude looks like Elton John with male pattern balding, the young Elton John with male pattern balding. So
But he was the only person pushing for his brother's legacy. Like, black folks don't even want. Because
Well,
I interviewed a professor who wrote a book about Johnny Ace. He found out that his royalties were going overseas to this English company. So he was able to secure the royalties for the family. Professor James Salem wrote a book called The Late Great Johnny Ace. He passed away back in 2012.
Is the family still getting the money? Is the family still getting the money?
They got a little bit. See, what this would happen?
Hold it. When we go off the line, I'm going to give you a number to an attorney that can get them paid. Okay?
Okay, if they want it, but they're not really pursuing it.
But then the point is that dude with the missing penis, does he want some money or is he alive?
You want to do that interview with the city guy?
Yes.
He said, I don't even talk to him. Many people give me these stories, man. I'm like, man, okay, let me just do the story.
But is it Johnny Ace? Is he related to Johnny Ace?
No, he's not related to Johnny Ace.
So you don't know anyone?
The brother's dead. The one who was an 8-month veteran. He died about.
Okay, but who? So you don't know anyone in the family that's functional?
Well, his daughter, they try to connect with Letticy. Letticy, she acknowledged that her grandfather, but she don't have nothing to do with the family in terms of Memphis, as far as I know.
Okay.
And I reached out to Letticy myself too. I never got any feedback.
Well, not her. So there's nobody that you know. Well, think about it. If you ever find anyone, call me.
This is what they did. I'm gonna tell you how they've been taken advantage of over the years. They had photos of Johnny Ace and all this information and memorabilia for him. Excuse me. It was these black folks out in Detroit, I believe, that reached out to them. They did a play about Johnny Ace about 20-something years ago. The family gave them all these valuable photos and everything. They never got it back from them. Well, these people just took these things and never returned them.
They were from Detroit.
I think, Dr. Short, people don't understand, like, when you put yourself in these positions, try to tell these stories to help people, it could get overwhelming a lot of times. Well, there's so much fuckery that goes on. And they want to fuck you over too sometimes.
Because the real problem isn't white racism. It's black on black racism. That's the problem. Because I've never had a problem dealing with people in any other group. Never. I've only had problems dealing with black folks. So, my brother, I strongly want to encourage everybody watching, and I don't want to steal any of your fans, but I want everybody, if you can, please subscribe to my channel, Randy Short at YouTube, or Randy Lancaster Short. I need a backup YouTube channel because they mess with me. And let's stay in touch. I love Brother Ron. We work well together. He knows if he calls me or whatever, like, I'm going to reach out and ask Brenda Holloway if I can you could do an interview, because that would be fun. She's interesting.
I would love to get her. Has she written a book or anything? I think everybody should start telling their story.
I don't know, but I'll reach out. Let her know I'd write it. And
you need to write the Supremes. You need to be,
I need to go
authorized person on a Supreme story or something.
Well, someone like Diana Ross would have to give permission. But what I will say is this. I want everybody to support Brother Ron. Send him something. Send me something too. But we're independent voices. I will be doing more to expose the NAACP and the Congressional Black Circus. I will be doing more to raise hell. I'll be doing my Angry Black Men's Book Club. I got more books coming in and stuff. We'll just be doing this. It's going to be fun. And pretty soon, now that I've about beaten this thing, it flares up a little bit, but we're going to turn it out.
Well, Doctor, I want to get you, like, you started into the Judas and Black Messiah, but I got to ask you about your boy Enrique and the Proud Boy thing.
Sure.
What's your take on Enrique?
Well, what I know directly about Enrique was he was turning in drug dealers. And my parents worked in drug rehab, and I used to be babysat by a man who used to intravenously shoot heroin, Brother Jaluk. One of the people I love the most. And I caught him shooting dope when it's about 3, 4, and he beat the hell out of me for catching him. And nice man, but a junkie. And when my parents ministered, they would find people, their folk with hepatitis and shit. I'm saying to you, when it comes to me and drugs, up until I began to understand mass incarceration was a part of the problem, right? I was so afraid. In fact, my parents, who didn't like jazz because they're super sanctified, Holy Roller Pentecostal types, they told us that if you listen to jazz, you would become a heroin addict. And see, part of that is, let me just put the piece together. Billy or William Smallwood, the son of the bishop that wrote Further On Up the Road, became a major jazz artist, and he died of a drug overdose. So there's this whole thing about jazz and heroin for DC, to the point this was so drilled in my head. If I heard jazz, I would have a sensation of being pricked with heroin needles. I would cover my ears up when there was jazz and just like scream, because I knew people that were on heroin. I've seen people shake and people overdose. So I was terrified of heroin. I don't like shots. It's vaccination shit. First of all, it's a shot. I hate that just to get go. So do you understand? That's how harsh, because of stuff. Let me tell you something. There were people who were here in DC right after Martin Luther King's riot. They would go around and catch children and inject them with heroin to make them junkies. I've seen this with my own eyes.
So are the government people?
I don't know who did. They were older black men that grabbing kids doing this stuff. I've seen it. I've seen it. So if you came up like me, you just have a complete hard line against dope. I mean, the way, just dope, stop it. So if you see me acting crazy about stuff, it's probably trauma from crazy stuff that happened when you were young that you couldn't stop. With all that to say, if Enrique was putting drug dealing people's asses away, I applaud him. I applaud him. The Proud Boys, they're doing less damage to black people than the CBC or the NAACP or the Congress of Black Churches. I can go down the list who are more dangerous to us than these guys are. Not that I'm a member, not that I'm joining, not that I endorse anything racist or Nazi, I don't. But the Ku Klux Klan kills far fewer black people than we do. We're 50% of the murder rate of this country, and maybe 20% of the population. We're 35% of the abortions, and we're maybe 20%. We kill and slaughter each other in outstanding numbers. For us to fixate on a little hate group, or whatever the group is, it's not the issue. So Enrique, I'll call him. I haven't heard from him, but they set him up. I don't think that he would have allowed this stuff that happened if they could have stopped it, which they couldn't. I'm glad he didn't get here. They're after Roger Stone. They're after a lot of people. This is in reality a war against acting like Trump was never president. He was. Love him or hate him, he was president. And Biden, as I've been laughing, there's a song that says, every day with Jesus is sweeter than the day before. Every day with Biden is sweeter than the day before as he embarrasses and makes fools out of these coon-tard traitor niggas who told us he was going to do something and he's not. I like it every day. I can't wait until tomorrow to see what stupid thing Biden does, because there are a whole bunch of boule, liar, fake niggas out here. Notice how quiet they've been.
Very much so.
Biden, I now like it. I enjoy his presidency. You have never heard me say that. Now I'm enjoying it. I've gotten used to it. I at least want, please don't die. I now want him to live. I want him to live the full term. I want him to say no to reparations like he's going to do. You know what you need to hear. You haven't heard this. You haven't heard about the mass killings in the prisons in St. Louis going on. That when Joe Biden got elected, that all the prisons in this country went under lockdown because all the prisoners are afraid. Those are hundreds of thousands of black men whose lives are on the line. And niggas talking about chucks and pearls. They can all kiss my ass.
So we mean getting killed, right?
By being kept in jail with COVID and all this other stuff. Trump was letting hundreds of thousands of black men go home. Hate him. You can hate him, but he was letting them out.
I don't think the hate is reasonable though. It's like it's insane. It's like it's Trump.
Because niggas are insane. Niggas are insane. There's reprehensible stuff about Trump. Sure, there's reprehensible stuff about Marion Barry and the Ford family.
Everybody got some
and he has more than his share. Okay. But he was, like I said in my show, if you didn't have money to get on the bus, but someone gave you a token, don't you still get to ride? Trump gave us a token. Biden's not gonna give us shit. We're gonna walk, but you know, say at least he ain't handing out tokens. That's so stupid.
Before you go with Dr. Shadi, really
we gotta do this movie.
On the Judas and Black Messiah, you gonna say something about that before I interrupt you?
Real fast. One thing I didn't like was it's gonna encourage people to smoke.
Why you say that?
Because everybody was smoking.
Fred was smoking, right?
Yeah, but the point is that look. J. Edgar Hoover is gay, and you don't see him gay in any of the movies where he's represented. Okay, so you can take the cigarettes out. Okay. It's bad. That's going to influence young black people to smoke. It's also, the language that they were using sounded like Black Lives Matter, so a lot of folks are going to want to join Black Lives Matter behind this film. It's going to push the communist stuff without explaining what the communists are really about. And since people need to be reminded that the communists have adopted the LGBTQ as a national minority group that needs protection and sovereignty and self-determination, that the leftist movement in America is now a gay movement. So basically the movement, that film, if it pushes people towards the left, is pushing them to promote LGBTQ and all this gender confusion. And if you teach young black people that we can shoot our way out of this, when these folks basically they have porta johns up on Mars, we can outshoot these people. I'm saying don't have guns. We're going to learn how to think and find more sophisticated ways to get to where we need to get. If a showdown comes, fine. But don't make a showdown the starting point. We're not in the position to do that right at this moment. The Panthers did a lot of things prematurely. What excited a lot of people was them taking up the gun, showing the gun. By the way, they bought the guns from a government agent, right? And then you show the same people you bought it from, hey, I'm outnumbered and you've got nuclear and guided and laser weapons. And look, I've got a shotgun I bought from you. It's unstrategic. It's stupid. Not the gun ownership, but the whole idea that you can take out the most powerful government in the world with weapons. Weapons don't necessarily win wars. Ideas do, like the A-bomb. Oppenheimer had an idea, as did Einstein, as did the black man, forgive me, Elmer Imes, one of the fathers of the A-bomb, is a black man from Tennessee. Elmer Imes. Ideas won World War II because those ideas could be made into more sophisticated weapons. Black people need to think. Black people need to read. Black people also need God. Spirituality is important. Mr. William O'Neill was an atheist, a non-believer. The reason a lot of these snitches and traitors and people that do this stuff and their conscience doesn't pain them is because they don't believe in an absolute right or wrong, good and evil. We have a lot of black people that are amoral, sociopathic scum that can rape, kill, sell drugs, do whatever, and they're a plague to us in-house. Real talk. We need to clean up the soul and minds of our people, because you wouldn't give your money to an Arab selling dope and bad milk in your neighborhood if you believed in right and wrong. If you didn't believe in gluttony and sloth, you wouldn't be 400 pounds going getting potato chips and pop from Asians that hate your guts. And when you have farmland, you could grow stuff on. Black people need more, as much as they need weaponry, they need the sword of truth. They need to know about God. They need to know right and wrong. And in reality, if they have to die, they need to have a transcendent belief and a heaven and a reward and righteousness if you sacrifice your life. Right now, if you don't believe that there's anything better than this, then you become a coon that just wants to get yours. It's just about the Benjamin is a phrase, stock phrase of coons. It's just about me and now and mine. This man here, Elmer Imes, was the press. Where? Look, you haven't heard of him before? This man was Einstein worshipped this man. This is where Einstein got his ideas from. Einstein didn't know. This is the man that's talking about the atom before Einstein got into school. It's a black man. It's a black man. This is black. I told you he's from Tennessee. I told you. You don't. Yeah, I got you. I told you he's from Tennessee.
October 12, 1883. He was born. Dick Gregory's birthday is October 12th. He died September 11, 1941. He was the second African American to earn a PhD in physics and the first in the 20th century. He was among the first African American scientists to make important contributions to the modern physics. While working in industry, he gained 4 patents for instruments to be used for measuring magnetic
spectrography. Right.
As an academic, he developed and chaired the Department of Physics at Fisk University, serving from 1930 to 41. So, yeah. Okay. So they said, okay, he was born in Memphis, Tennessee. He was the child of college-educated parents. His father's family were people of color who had been free since before the American Revolution. His mother's family, former slaves, had moved to Oberlin, Ohio after the American Civil War. Both his parents graduated from Oberlin College.
Mm-hmm.
Dr. Short is dropping names today. Jewel, what's her name?
Jewel Mazik. And this guy, he should be a hero. We look at this. I mean, I knew he was from Tennessee. You have to understand that my grandmother's great-great-grandfather is from Memphis. Damn.
This is a powerful place, man.
Well, I'm confused.
Why are you confused?
Well, I mean, let me tell you, brother, when I found out my family some of it is from Tennessee, I couldn't believe it. It's like, we don't have people in Tennessee, but we do on multiple sides. And that's Imes. Oh my God. That's incredible. But isn't that incredible? This man was president of the American Association of Physicists. He's brilliant. This is what
we don't talk about people like that. We want to talk about twerking and
no. And what I want to say is the founder of the Black Panther Party that they conveniently gave no mention to was brother Bob Brown.
Okay.
Who's from Chicago, Illinois, who started the Black Panther Party and recruited Fred Hampton.
They don't talk about him. They don't talk about Dr. Bobby Wright, his teacher.
Right.
I want to tell people, look at that lecture he did in Atlanta, April 10th, 1980, while it's still on YouTube. Dr. Bobby Wright talked about the LGBTQ agenda. He told how Hampton and them were being used by the white people, the Students for Democratic Society. Fred Hampton, listen to Fred Hampton's interview from 1960. Called out the anarchists. He called out the wilderness for Democratic Society. He said it was suicidal them trying to blow up things and get the people targeted for it. He said we gotta educate the people.
And you know what?
They killed Fred Hampton. He was no thug. He was no gun-toting thug.
Eric Mann of the Weathermen is the mentor of Patrice Cullor of Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter is the weathermen. It is.
But Hampton will be against the weatherman. He'll be against Antifa
exactly.
Today.
And
he'll be against BLM today. Listen to the actual Fred Hampton speak. He'll be against Black Lives Matter how he is today.
But
and Antifa. He won't be for George Soros.
So listen to what I'm saying.
Call these people out. That's why they killed them.
I'm waiting for Brother Tariq to drop this film, Buckbreaker.
I'm looking forward to
when is that coming out?
I thought it would be coming out this month. I don't know.
I did too. I did too. I'm going to ask him because I'll tell you, they have a way of putting pressure on people about films.
Yeah.
And
he's a man of his word.
No. No. I'm not in that. I'm not in the anti-world. That I've never been. No. He's
been consistent about keeping his
word. No. I'm not saying him keeping his word. I'm talking about people putting pressure on people.
Okay.
Because this whole LGBTQ thing has gone crazy with Biden being in. So,
yeah, man, like you said, they're trying to wipe out that Trump was president, man.
Yeah, well, it's never going to happen. And in fact, he may be president again. He may be president before you know it. So, my brother, I just think that the film is misleading people, and the wrong. 9
informants in that party chapter.
Yes.
He had 9 informants.
Sure.
So when William O'Neill said he didn't put that in his drink, he may not have put that in his drink.
Right, but because.
Why is Bobby Rush? What about Bobby Rush though?
Bobby Rush is considered by Fred Hampton and his mother one of the people that helped bring about the demise of Fred Hampton Sr.
There's people defending William O'Neill. He will always, when people question William O'Neill, he would defend him.
Because
back then, I don't know if it's true. I'm just saying what I read.
What I'm saying to you is that Bobby Rush was recruited to the Black Panther Party by Bob Brown. And
was Bobby Rush in the army? Was he like army intelligence or something?
Possibly. It's believed. No.
But why he has not put out? Dr. Short, help me understand. If that's your homeboy, you was number 2 to him, and y'all got money to preserve the Emmett Till house. Fred Hampton mama used to babysit Emmett Till. Why are not putting any government funds behind preserving Fred Hampton's childhood? I do GoFundMe to preserve this man home if he was your comrade like that.
Well, part of the issue is that Fred Jr.
Okay.
Who's a great guy, I like him, needs to reassess his alignments and who he's working with to preserve his father's legacy.
Okay. That's
as gently as I can put it, without, and I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with Fred. As I said, it's a nice, but I met him the day I heard Malcolm Shabazz died. And that was the only person that comforted me. Because I was hurting. So I'll always appreciate him for that. Because I was really
we interviewed him. He called out some people that Malcolm was hanging around.
That was awful. Fred, I met him that day. That's ironic. The day I met him was the day that they announced Malcolm Shabazz, I think May 9th, 2013.
On John Brown's birthday.
And so that was, I literally reached out to him because I was just done. So I have great love for him just being there for me, because I love Malcolm, and in a very decent way, nothing queer or bad, just love the kid. And
what, Dr. Joy, y'all posted a picture of him meeting with Gaddafi. Mm-hmm. There's a picture of Malcolm Shabazz.
Yeah, I was there when he met Gaddafi.
And both of them dead. Both of them dead.
Right.
And you was there. That was in Libya, right? You was there with him in Libya.
It was
January. Gaddafi, the picture with Malcolm Shabazz.
January 17th, 2011. And by the way, Gaddafi said that they were going to come to kill him and kill other people. So
You don't think Gaddafi fake? I mean, he had doubles, right?
I don't
Gaddafi survived that?
I don't know. I did have someone reach out to me 3 weeks ago
Mm-hmm.
who, and I did what I could do to put them in touch with, I'll just say it, people in Libya wanted to connect with Farrakhan. So I did what I could do to help them. I'm certain that they got the contact. So I believe that they may have killed the actual person. So I can't prove it, but I believe they killed the actual person. I don't know, but wow. But they're still killing people there, and it's about to get bad right now. And Biden, they're going to let them really hurt the black people in Libya. I mean, these chucks, and this is why you see me tripping. These coons, soulless Negroes, they can sign on for the mass murder and mass rape. Let me tell you something about Libya. They have a prison that they rape and mutilate black women in. I think in Benghazi, that Obama and them helped set up to just outrage black women and make snuff porn. And the black people are devils to sign on for something like that. Maybe you can't stop it, but don't support it. Don't blindly like Biden or Obama or Hillary Clinton. This same woman get mad if you grab someone's titty in the store, but could justify the mass rape and mutilation of black women. I mean, Jesus said, strain a gnat, swallow a camel. Talking to you pork chop feminists out there.
But it's the black women. Didn't the Trump impeachment trial expose these women? Like you called it out months ago, Dr. Short, that the black women will be the target.
Okay,
the target for all the rage.
Thank you, Miss Fox. Buckbreaker's coming out in April. I didn't know. Thank you.
That's Supremacist Month. That's Hitler's birthday, April 20th. He's a Taurus.
Yes.
And Malcolm was a Taurus, and Farrakhan's a Taurus. Farrakhan was supposed to get $1 billion from Gaddafi, and Bill Clinton blocked it back in the day. Was that Bill Clinton? His president, his government blocked it.
Bill Clinton. No, that wasn't. That was Reagan.
That was Reagan that blocked that. You sure it was Reagan. Go check. Yeah, I'm checking now. I remember when I was aware. I said, "Hey, Bill Clinton them blocked Gaddafi. Gaddafi from giving him $1 billion." L. Ruckins was set up too. Jeff Ford from Chicago. They set him up.
So thank you, Miss Fox. Thank you, Miss Fox. Thank you. Now I was just worried. Let me tell you the reason I said, I hope when Curtis Quoon did his film, Black, White, and Blue. And we got to do a special thing. You should interview him, man. Black, White, and Blue. Black Lives.
It was not 96. It was back in 96 under Bill Clinton.
Oh, so Clinton. So that happened.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember it like it was yesterday.
But they had, well, you know what? There were multiple times that they offered money.
I'm sure it was probably.
Okay, so but Clinton hates black people. His wife hates black people.
Bill Clinton is weird though, because I remember I saw Bill Clinton. He spoke at one of my Jegna's funerals, Judge Army Bailey, back in 2015. And this clown got up there and said, I love the Army Bailey. His grandfather was a grocer like my grandfather was in Hope, Arkansas. We had these cookies called Jackson Lemon cookies. Oh, we love these. It's the best cookies known to man. And the black women in there said, "Oh Lord, Bill Clinton doesn't like us. He likes Jackson Lemon cookies too." I'm like, people. Bill Clinton got a way about him though. He's a likable scum dog. His wife is not that likable, but he's likable even though he's a dirty bastard to a lot of people.
Well,
he's likable.
Black people set their thresholds low for leadership and a range of other things. We suffer as a consequence. So, frankly, It's just time for us to grow up. It's time for us to grow up. It's time for us to
We got
grow
a lot
up.
of growing pain. We old. We could be some old fools that still have a lot of growing to do.
Well, all I'm going to say to you is Biden's going to wake us. Biden's going to wake us up like Trump couldn't. So every day with Biden is sweeter than the day before. By time Buckbreaker comes out, the Gay Equality Act would have at least passed Congress. It may even get out the Senate. So that's cool.
Yeah, somebody said Winthrop Rockefeller's Clinton's daddy. He was the governor of Arkansas. Rockefeller was the governor of Arkansas.
You're talking about Winthrop. Winthrop Rockefeller.
Yeah.
Right. So
Bill Clinton was governor during Mena, Arkansas, when they were putting on them drugs down in South America and trafficking around the country. Y'all blaming on Freeway Ricky Ross, who was functionally illiterate. The man couldn't read and write. Y'all thought he was the kingpin. I was CIA.
Well, the kingpin was George Bush Sr.
Oh yeah, because Barry Seal had direct line to George Bush
Sr. Sure he did.
And they killed them down in Louisiana.
Sure they did.
And the hitman said it was a guy in a military uniform that gave directions to do with the instructions.
Wow.
So it was the government that assassinated Barry Seal, was involved in the Kennedy assassination. With Dave Barry, Louisiana Air Patrol.
Sure.
And he was flying the killers out of Dallas.
And Malcolm, and Martin, and Medgar.
Oh, the FBI. What do you think about the FBI? I mean, everybody should know by now that the FBI was involved. Malcolm, Fred, MLK. It was that gun that killed Martin Luther King. It came from them.
Right. But
why people act so stupid though, man? Why people so dumb? Like, oh man, we don't know who killed Malcolm. Y'all still believe that?
You know why?
Them with a mastermind behind killing Malcolm.
Well, but they're not exempt from having a role. They were.
No, they got an answer. Dr. Short, can you clarify if Farrakhan was ever asked on the record? Where was he at February 21st, 1965?
I've never heard.
He was at Mosque 25 in Newark, but he never said it himself where he was at. I never heard anybody ask him that question. I don't
have any idea, but I do know on the stage of the what's that place? The Apollo Theater. He acknowledged that he contributed to the climate. So to me, that's broad and how it's said. So that can be how the fact is he made a contribution. How great it wasn't said, but it was the fact that he had to state that he contributed to the climate means that he was a player in this awful situation, this cowardly assassination of Malik al-Shabazz, Malcolm Little, a.k.a. Malcolm X.
We know John Ali, the National Secretary of the FBI. We know they control communication.
Yeah, but look, Bunker Hunt, who gave money to the Nation of Islam, he did. Was friends with H.L. Hunt. Yeah.
Oh, definitely. He gave a lot of chicks that life.
But also he was buddies with J. Edgar Hoover. So, but stop for a second. If J. Edgar Hoover's buddy is paying you, and he talks to J. Edgar Hoover and so forth, with all due respect, my cousin, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, through dealing with Bunker Hunt, right, basically was a snitch. Sorry.
I'm just saying we always been compromised.
I'm saying he's the head of its compromise. I'm not mad. I don't hate nobody. I'm just saying.
Like Gavin, the counselor, he talking about Hale Boggs. He actually, I believe, was the speaker. He wasn't the senator, but he was involved in Nixon impeachment thing. Also, he was involved in the Warren Commission. And he disappeared with another congressman in Alaska. They never found their bodies. And one of his daughters was a well-known journalist, mainstream journalist, Cokie Roberts.
Oh yes.
Cokie Roberts is his daughter. You remember Hale Boggs?
I know Cokie. I've met Cokie Roberts many times.
And that's a dead Hale Boggs. He's involved in the Warren Commission. He helped to cover up the Kennedy assassination. So nobody clean in this thing.
No. So, brother, we need to do this again. and I'm glad we're doing it.
There was a house
Okay.
Democrat from Louisiana for the council. And we doing so much information to cover, but people like, man, I didn't know they did this. I said, don't you know that the first black FBI agent was hired to neutralize Marcus Garvey, Agent 800, James Wormley Jones, former DC detective.
And by the way, hold on. And Wormley, it's a high yellow, snooty, sellout black family. I'm just saying, there's a little high yellow family. The Wormleys. I'm just telling you. When you said Wormley, I says, oh hell, damn.
If you look at do this right, Jews to me did not betray Jesus. He did what he's supposed to do when he killed himself. It's like William O'Neill killed himself. Like he did what he's supposed to do.
I remember celebrating William O'Neill killing himself.
He killed himself.
Yes, I was living in Divinity Hall at Harvard University at the Divinity
So you
School.
remember that? Wow.
Yes, he killed himself the day before Eyes on the Prize Part 2 came out.
You don't think he was murdered? Some people think that wasn't him in the casket. They faked his death.
Well, I think he killed himself. Man, I was.
He had Judas guilt then, so he had a guilty conscience for 21 years.
Let me tell you something. Remember the group Silver Connection?
Okay.
Get up and boogie. Da, 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 da. I mean, I was like doing this when I heard them. Get up and boogie. Yes, I danced the jig. Yes. That's right.
His son is in his 30s. He's still around. I can't imagine being.
That's right. Get up and boogie. I mean,
I can't imagine being his son right now. His son's probably in his 30s right now. He's a little kid.
Well, you know what? A traitor to their race curses it. You know what? Benedict Arnold's kids probably killed themselves. I mean, just damn. Let me tell you something. If we really had a code as a people, if someone was a coon or a traitor, people may go and beat their parents up because I want, you know what I'm saying? They do a Francis of Assisi's. You know Francis of Assisi, remember? And when his father didn't want him to be in the Catholic order, and his father says, I want you to get out, says, so I'm going to leave you. And the dude left his house naked. You didn't give me nothing. I'm going to leave your house buck naked. I'm going to show you. So we really don't have to deal with each other. I'm gonna leave everything. I'm not taking nothing. I'm not even taking my drawers.
All right.
Okay. We need to.
So thank you so much.
Right.
And how can people purchase your book?
Okay. What they can do is my email is right up here, wrandyshoot@gmail.com. I can send them a link to my publisher. Okay, that's
Make sure I post it.
Right. And you've got the stuff yourself, Ron. You've got.
I'm trying to find the screen. I'm trying to.
You want me to send it to? You want me to send it to you right now?
Well, I'm gonna post up the website right now on the screen.
Okay.
So this is like hollismedia.net.
Yes.
/shop. That's got the short book in the middle, Slavery's Mastery.
Right.
Y'all support that. I got me some copies. Yeah. I plan on getting some other stuff.
Yes.
Them out, whatever.
Yes, that's right. Treat me like I'm white and get a copy.
You know what? I don't care who treat people like that. I rather treat black folks like they should be treated.
Well, and we should be treated equal to white people. Same difference. As long as we've got this jacked up matrix. Yes.
Y'all support this. This is Dr. Short been putting in work for our people for decades.
And it's going to intensify what I'm doing. Get ready.
And also, you're going to be on book breaking. And y'all read this book. Maybe y'all see me I know it's weird right now. I would like to have lectures and book signings, but hopefully we'll get some type of normalcy of some type in the near future. I don't know. But what we can do is keep on learning and educating. And Dr. Short gave us so many jewels today. And I hope y'all been taking notes and write these names down and do your own research. So I want to thank Dr. Short for being a treasure that he is, for taking time out of his schedule to share all this information with us on this platform.
Yes, sir.
Dr. Short, got anything else you want to say in closing?
Oh, absolutely. My channels, Randy Lancaster Short and Randy, I will be putting content up. Angry Black Men's Book Club will return, will resume. We're going to be talking about race, eugenics, all of it. And so come ready. And there's a very good brother I know who has a lot of books on PDF. So as I get the stuff in order, I'm going to be able, if there's a book and I want people to see it, I should be able, if we can get a distribution list, to send people a PDF. So you don't have to buy the book, but you have the information. So thank you, Brother Ron. And by the way, yes, if they want to dash me, I'm Dr. Randy Short. Dr. Randy Short is my Cash App, or my email, which is wrandyshort@gmail, is my Zelle or my PayPal. And yes, I do need some donations because I need to buy some additional equipment. What's really beautiful right now is I've got this up on 4 screens. I've got you on my iPad that someone blessed me with.
Excellent.
I'm doing a straight up video into one phone to go onto my Randy Lancaster Short YouTube channel. And I'm on 2 YouTubes right now, even though they blocked me on Facebook. That's okay. And I've got an iPhone coming, and I have another iPhone and get a SIM card for. And
you on Clubhouse, you in Clubhouse.
I'm going to be in Clubhouse within a week. And I will also work on my Rumble account, my Twitch account, and I'm going to see if I can just get an iStream. And so for you to do iStream for you, it's like $115, and that puts you on 20 platforms. So that way I'd be doing StreamYard and Restream, and I'd probably be reaching maybe 20 some odd platforms. And the goal is, I've got like 3,070 followers. Thanks to you, Brother Ron, and Brother Darren Muhammad, and others. Yeah, Darren Muhammad, a very good brother in Baltimore. Very good brother in Baltimore.
Good brother, very informative.
And a phenomenal brother in Baltimore. So there's 3,070 people that have subscribed. I would love to get like 850 people to subscribe to Randy Lancaster Short. That way I have a backup YouTube channel. So when someone bothers me, if they shut me on one, I can broadcast to the audience on the other. And I'm working on the Twitch. I just got to figure out a kink or two I did with that. There's a thing called library. I just need to sit down and just play with this technology. But it's coming. It's coming. Love everybody. Hi, Daniel Cooper. By the way, Marvin Gaye's mother was a Cooper. And
we all related anyway, Dr. Short. We all just related.
Sure.
We all kissing cousins or something.
And by the way, there's a snooty family. By the way, there's a snooty family of Hurd spelled the same way as your name.
Oh, really?
Hodge v. Hurd. It's a Supreme Court case. The Hurds are super light-skinned Black people who bought into, yes, they bought the house that was 8 doors down from the house I lived. 1116 Bryant Street Northwest was bought by the Hurd family from a realtor with the last name Gilligan, like Gilligan's Island. And the Hurds were able to move into 1116 Bryant Street in 1946 or 47. But when a dark family member came by, and the white folks on what's called Bloomingdale, which is a neighborhood next to the one I live in now, the Bloomingdale Residents Association, which all the houses had a clause, even the houses I lived in. Jesse Jackson has a house in Bloomingdale at 2324 First Street Northwest, unless he sold it. All the houses have a clause that you can't sell the property to Black people, nor can Black people spend the night in the property for you to get the house, because it was a covenant. And there was a fine of $10,000 if you let a Black person stay in your house. Even if they stayed, you could be fined. So the community rose up and went after the Hurd family. And luckily for them, their case, as well as Shelley v. Kramer, which is from St. Louis, went to the Supreme Court and in 1948 outlawed covenanted segregated housing. So that's your family, Ron.
Thank y'all for, I appreciate it. I'm about to check them out. And what was the case?
Hodge, Hodge v. Hurd. Your last name. And then the other is Shelley, Shelley, I believe. V. Kramer, which is Kraemer, I believe. It's an ACP case. This is the reason that you can live where you want to, so they say.
You got to give some due to the NAACP.
I've never trashed the NAACP for the bad stuff. Okay. You know, it is not what they do that's right. You know, they don't put you in jail for what you do that's right, unless, you know, you're doing some civil rights stuff. They put you in jail for what's wrong. The local NAACP chapters in many places are very good. Remember, Jewel Mazik is in NAACP. My grandmother's in the ACP. My father was head of the NAACP Youth League in DC. Okay.
Hampton was NAACP. Mark Clark was NAACP.
Yes. So what I'm trying to say to you is that I might come from Quoon, but I won't. I might be. I told you I'm a slave. I'm just telling you, I'm a descendant of a white man that used to import African people here in chains. No, he was a straight up Anglo. Okay. No, we can't help who we descend from, but we can help what we do to take a stand for our people. So I know you got to go. I need to speak to my mother. So
that's all right. How your mom doing?
She's okay, but she's mad I have the library junked up.
All right, we gotta go.
Right. Okay. See you. Bye. Bye.
It's a pleasure. I ain't gonna be on this long, man. We love you
badly. Right. All right. Tell them, send us some dough. Make it rain on us. You know. Yeah, I need to get some podcast equipment.
Make it precipitate.
Yeah, and if not, they can send me some old iPhones. I need 2 used iPhones. I've got one. If I get a third one, then I'm gonna swap out all these Androids and just go all Apple.
I already know on Clubhouse you're gonna be on there 24/7.
No, not 24/7. I'm gonna go on when I now and then I'm gonna leave it alone. What I would do if I get some people on that's when I'm gonna start podcasting specifically for these young ones. So, and we'll see if I meet 20 to 50 solid people, it will be worth it. I don't. Part of what hurt the Panthers and all these other groups is people go for numbers. You don't need. We need quality, ethics, decency, and discipline. You don't need quantity. They're counting on that.
The counselor says Dr. Show has got to come on and do a show with me.
Well, you can give them my email. It's up there. I mean,
you've been on Gavin. It's Gavin Richard.
Oh yeah. Okay, Gavin. Fine. Yeah, I haven't talked to him in a while. It's cool. Let's see what we can do this week while I'm sitting at home. All right.
We got this recorded and documented.
Right. No, I mean, I said, yeah. So there's certain people we just have to get back to each other. Okay. All right. See you then. God bless. Bye-bye.
Yes, sir.
Okay. A bunch of y'all had questions, and I was talking to Brother Ron. Let me stop here. That's done. Let me try to talk to y'all because y'all were asking mega questions. And I'm going to see if I can get to the top of these. I'm sorry, when I'm being interviewed, I can't do it like this. But let me see. Go all the way up. Okay. Congratulations. Be certain to do the free pre-order list. Okay. I will. Okay. B1. Wow. Jakes and Roll were pushing the shot on Rolly's show. Oh my God. Jakes and Rolly. Oh my God, y'all. I'm going to have to come back and deal with that. Oh my God. I did not know that. The name of my book is Slavery's Mastery. I'll promote that in another program, I promise. Um, MFM to all you folks out there. Oh my God. Um, let's see. Let me see. I wouldn't compare to Beyonce to the Supremes either. I'm just fair. I just like them. Um, um, Brenda Holloway. She is God. She's fine, man. She's a very beautiful lady, man. Thank you. Memphis, a racist town. Wow. Yep. Tina Turner, rocker. Yes, 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 yes. Okay. Um. Okay. Let me see. Hmm. Religion has failed black people. Actually, religion has failed. Faith doesn't fail. We don't practice a faith and we practice a religion and fail. Um, somebody wanted to get the name, the guy's name, the physician's name is Elmer, Imes. And Elmer Imes is spelled Elmerimes. Elmer Imes, Gaines. Thank you. Someone put it up there. All right. I'm just trying to make certain I'm respond to you in this room. Pretty soon we're going to be calling each other. This is going to be a lot more fun than doing this. I like Tariq a whole lot. I just, they put pressure on people. They bother people. You have no idea when you stand up, and I'm not trying to call someone weak. You have children, all people can bother, come at your children. Let me see. Dr. Tanda, another Indian Biden pick. Yep, I've been watching it. Yep. Did you watch your uh yes, I'm not going to apologize. If Elijah Muhammad, Mr. Owen, Elijah Muhammad's related to me, by the way. If he's talking to Bunker Hunt, who talks to J. Edgar Hoover, that's passing information to your enemy. That's what that is. I don't care how you feel about the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. I don't hate him. But if you're talking to Bunker Hunt's a white supremacist. Bunker Hunt talks to other white supremacists that hate black people. You feed information. There's no way out of that. I don't care how you feel about him. That's immaturity. What is truth is truth. I wish that weren't the case. I would like for all these historic black people to be completely heroic and saintly, but they're flaws. I'm flawed, and so are you. And your emotion here is flawed. I'm not going to watch my mouth. That's not, in fact, people under the order of Elijah Muhammad wanted to kill Malcolm X within the Nation of Islam, and they were making attempts to kill him as well. Fact. So whether the police killed him, the CIA, the FBI, there were people within the NOI that were infiltrators who served the government, who wanted to destroy the movement, as well as just ordinary people that saw my family member as the Lamb of God, Elijah Muhammad, okay, that they wanted to kill Malcolm. And there's no easy way. Farrakhan said it. Farrakhan's leader of the Nation of Islam. What part of the nation being complicit in a climate that brought about the death of Malcolm X that their own leadership acknowledged, don't you get? That's just plain, it's retarded. It's retarded. I mean that. They said so. I didn't say it. I didn't make Farrakhan say that. I did not make anybody say that they would contribute. They said that. Yvette Clark, New York. Maybe. Anyway, I'm going to get out of here. I got to deal with something. Take care. I may join y'all later. Bye.